Yo, people always ask me what kind of frames I'm rocking. I've been rocking Caddis for a couple years. They make amazing progressive readers, which I wear. Also, they make sunglass readers, anti-glare, anti-smudge coating, anti-scratch, and anti-aging. That's why I look mad young when I wear them. I'm just kidding. But they make amazing frames. Caddis, so stoked to have you guys part of the podcast. You can go to caddislife.com/Toby10 and get $10 off your first purchase. Stoked. Thank you, Caddis. Welcome to the fam. Yo, Liquid Death. Thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. They have now blessed me with my own code. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst. Stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives. Liquid Death.
You got to show me how you do this afterwards.
Check. Well, dude, is so easy, dude. I'm like the not. I don't know any of this. All I do is upload it. I'll tell you after. Okay. Microphone check. Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today, I have a very special guest in my kitchen. This has been a long time coming. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Josh Brolin.
Hello.
Hi. It's early in the morning.
I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the dog next to me licking herself, as you're introducing me. It's like the perfect introduction. Anyway.
Well, a couple of times she's farted on guests, so if that happens, it's not me.
Okay.
I just want you to know it's not me.
That's kind of more common than would be a little.
I'm gonna get jacked in this coffee too. You can see a different side of me. I've been really trying to stay off the coffee, and it definitely fucks me up. It's definitely affects me.
We'll see what happens, because you know what? I mean, for you and I doing this, like, we're not even looking at each other right now.
I look at you now.
No, because it's a weird thing.
It is weird.
It's a weird thing because we've known each other for a long time, and then you come in and you do a podcast, and it has a different vibe. And I think that
because you're recording it too.
Yeah, you're recording it, and it's a thing, and people are going to hear it, and people haven't heard our conversations because all our conversations have been about crying and emo shit and stuff that we're really emotional about.
Totally.
Which looks very different than how you and I look.
No, totally.
So the perception is very different than the reality of who we are.
I agree. Yeah. I do a little deep dive and just see. We met in 2016. I was trying to see how long ago it was. Randomly met you off of Melrose. You were looking at my friend Luke's car.
That's right.
You taking pictures of your wife Catherine, who's awesome. And we just met briefly there. It was crazy, and then started following each other on social media back then, and that's pretty much how it just happened.
I remember the energy that you had. Like, you had crazy, hyper, like, drug-induced energy. And then to find out that you were as straight as you are was almost confusing to me, because we were looking at that car and you came over and you're like, hey, man, hey, how you doing? I know the guy that owns that car. And then you were with Max at the time. And how old was Max?
2016.
I mean,
young, man.
I mean, he doesn't seem like a kid now.
No,
but he was,
man.
Yeah, he was a kid then. And he was just like hanging with his dad. And you guys had skateboards, I think.
Yeah.
It's cool. The parent who never grew up. That's who you are.
Exactly. Yeah. But I want to thank you because you are a real one. Because when I originally mentioned I was gonna have a podcast idea of like this in 2018, you were the first one like definitely supporting me that I should do it, and here you are now doing it. I know you're super, super busy, and a lot's happened since we've met, and since we've hung, and since I even started this podcast. I mean, you've been super busy, and I just appreciate you being here.
I appreciate being here. I love doing anything with you. I do have a crazy life.
You're all over the place.
I'm all over the place. I'm not all over the place, but I am all over the place. I was just telling somebody this morning, actually, somebody who's working on the second season of Outer Range, and we were talking about this last kind of stint of publicity for the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's, if wisdom comes, just kind of a mellower version of myself. But there was, when you do these things, a lot of times you end up saying, just out of nerves, you end up saying things that you don't want to say.
Yeah.
And then they take those things and then they churn them up, or they misinterpret them. Yeah. And then you end up sounding like a dick. And if you just sound like a dick from the beginning, they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But there was in that 3 weeks, there was total kind of ownership over what I was saying. Very present. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is different for me because I don't feel like I'm this kind of spastic kid anymore running around just reacting to everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some ownership. So it's been cool, man. So yes, I'm all over the place, but I don't feel pulled by anybody. I feel like I'm willingly going to what I need to do, whether it's kids or whether it's work or all that kind of stuff. I feel present for it all.
Yeah. I mean, you've been, it just seems like since I actually met you, just so many movies between that time and now, with starting from Only the Brave, Avengers, Deadpool, Sicario, Avengers, Dune, and now Outer Range. Like just bang, bang. It's just you nonstop working. It just seems like that. You know what I mean? We talk when you're away in different places working on these things.
It does seem like that, but there's I think, there was one stint where there were 5 movies that came out at once.
Yeah.
And I think it was the second Sicario, Soldado, and then Deadpool 2 was the last one to come out, Legacy of a White-Tailed Deer Hunter, and there were a couple of others in there, Only the Brave and Avengers, movie. I think. And then I took a big break because we got pregnant with Wesleyan, my 3-year-old, and I took about a 2.5-year break. And there's something about that, too, that when you're willing to take a break and say no, people think you've still been around, like what you just said. You're working all the time, but you haven't been around and you've gotten away from it. And it's kind of good because there was, people, if they like you or they like what you do, they want you. And if you overwhelm them with too much shit, it's an oversaturation.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? So it's nice to just kind of take a back seat once in a while.
And it's nice to be able to do that too. You've worked so hard. I mean, obviously knowing your history and where you started and how long you've been in the game for, it's pretty amazing, especially in this industry, because I know what it's like in the music industry as far as like not trying to stay relevant, but also stay working and doing cool stuff and reinventing yourself. And now you're doing like the Avengers and stuff like that. And I just feel like even later on in life, it got really, it's just a different level for you in your 40s and 50s. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's like,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You're just less reactive, and you're just. I mean, I don't know how it is for you. How is it for you? Because I know, during the pandemic, you would text me or you would call me and you'd be like, dude, I'm going crazy. Like all I want to do is be on stage again.
I know.
And that, so what is that thing in you that you get from being on stage?
It's like, it's a natural high. It's something, it's probably indescribable. It's almost like with you acting. Do you know what I'm saying? It's something that I know makes me feel good and fills up a void in me that I don't have when I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So now I have these shows coming up this weekend, which I'm so excited about. And I know it's going to be this something that's been missing from me for 2 years. Yeah. Obviously, talking and having these conversations is beautiful, and it keeps that kind of talk about music and the passion of stuff I love. Mm. But actually getting on stage, it's like, I mean, you did theater stuff too, right? So getting on stage and there's that.
I did theater stuff too, and maybe that's the dip, because I was trying to look for the similarities between your music and you said, well, it's probably like your acting, but it's not, because for me, getting back and doing another movie is not about reliving anything that I've done in the past. It's about creating something new, and it's about being scared again, and it's that feeling that I'm going to fuck this up because I don't know how to do this, and you start picking up like acting books that you picked up when you were 16 years old and 17 years old, and trying to remind yourself or make yourself feel calmer that you're not going to completely screw this one up. So it feels like a new beginning every time you start a new role, because it is new, like it's uncharted territory. And I think for me, I've always kind of tried to challenge myself in getting into a character that I'm not used to, or even this like Outer Range. You do a Western. Yes, I've done Westerns, but with no supernatural elements. So then how does he react to that? Or when you're screaming to a hole, how stupid is that going to feel? Yeah. And what's that level of like parody as opposed to dramatic, drama, a dramatic plane that you live on. And you become like a technician, and it's fucking fun to be able to play with. Yeah. Because you're piecing, it's kind of like, I don't know.
It's making a record or something, writing a song.
It's like writing a song. Or I've seen things where, Billie Eilish or whatever, I've seen her with her guy writing, and is it her brother? Yeah. Her brother, Phineas, and she's writing, and they're trying to think of something, and then something instigates something else, and they go, let's try this out, and let's create it, a chord that maybe matches that, and you start to see the evolution of this great creative
It's beautiful.
Trajectory. It's a fucking really beautiful thing, and people don't realize that it's hard, man.
Yeah.
And that you have to like vulnerabilize yourself.
True.
And the shame comes in, and fuck, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore, and that's the part of the process every time you do it. It's cool.
So you still question yourself and your skills
all the time.
Wow.
All the time, and I don't want it, even though I hate it when it happens. I don't want it to not happen. Because that's part of the creative endeavor.
Yeah.
Is it's the way to get deeper.
Yeah, you don't get
that
too comfortable.
Uncertainty. No, man. That's the thing with money and all that kind of stuff. It's like I've been so uncomfortable with like, people are private planes and this and that, and I'm like, I don't want to rest on any idea of success. I don't want to live like an asshole, like, that I have nothing and pretend like I have nothing. But I also don't want to get to the point where I'm not hungry anymore. Yeah,
and you're a very un-Hollywood actor. You know what I mean? You're Hollywood because you're whatever list you're on or what people think and perceive of you. But as knowing you as a friend and a person, you're just a very down to earth. You're wearing fucking flip flops. You're chilling right now in my kitchen. Like you're not all like bougie and like whatever.
Where's my entourage?
That's what I'm saying. Like you just pulled up.
It's a dog licking her crotch.
I think that's probably because how you grew up and the people you're around and the music you're into and skateboarding and surfing and all the stuff that where we connect on. Yeah. How you grew up. I feel like that makes you come from a different place.
There's no idea of exclusivity. There's no idea that I want to be with this type of person. I want to hang out with it, and then you get this fucking great potpourri of personalities, which I think you and I grew up with.
Yeah.
With punk rockers and all, music and all that kind of shit. There was just a fucking dearth of great characters.
Yeah.
And I think that because that was the base, even though I'm not destructive like I was before, I still love those characters.
Yeah.
You're a character. Anthony Zerbe's a character. Anthony Hopkins is a character. All different people from different walks of life.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know, maybe it's really selfish, man, because I like to go to sleep, close my eyes, fucking laughing my ass off at the conversations that I had during the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what was your exposure to punk and skateboarding? How old were you when you started like hearing that or getting into that?
We had moved from Paso Robles, Templeton, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
So we were in LA for just a little bit. I was born in Santa Monica. I won't go through the whole thing, but it was in Paso Robles, and then we moved to Santa Barbara when I was 11. And the first person I met, we went to a place in Montecito called Cafe del Sol, and those were the parents of Jason Sears.
Okay.
And they said, "Oh, we have a kid your age," and we were a month apart. And I called that kid, and he was like, and I had long hair, because my mom made me grow my hair long. I don't know why. I still don't know why, because we were in the country and everybody had short hair. But this was another long-haired kind of surfer dude that had grown up in Santa Barbara. And I called him, and literally from that night on for 3 years, we were together every single day.
That's awesome.
So from 11 to 14, we were together every single day. And during that trajectory, there were other guys, Mike Herbert, Will Moeller, Kenny Jacobs. There were a bunch of dudes from that area. Some had money, some families with money, some with zero money.
Yeah.
Mickey O'Connell. And it became like a group. And that was during the 80s where families were like, I don't know what the through line was, or if it was cocaine or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I know my family wasn't into that, but they were into the kind of party scene, and they were into the social scene, and they were kind of in, and parents just did what the fuck they wanted to do. So there was no parental kind of umbrella at all.
In the streets.
You're just hanging all the time. So you're surfing, you're skateboarding. I remember they had skate parks back then. There was Sparks, there was Golf and Fun. I still have that little card, that little laminated card that they give you.
Awesome.
And then we started skating, and then we started competing, and then we were always playing music in Jason's garage.
What did you play?
Drums.
Sick.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, like, your boy is an incredible drummer. Like, that's the drummer that I always wanted to be.
Wow, yeah.
But I was able to hold a beat, and Jason was able to scream, and then we'd fucking make up lyrics, and then whatever it is we were doing. And then Bomber came along. I don't even know half the guys that I grew up with, their real names.
Yeah.
There's Bomber, there was Rich Boy, there was Foolish Mortal.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
like
crazy.
Nicknames, yeah.
I don't know, though. I don't know what their real names are. But, yeah, so all those guys were in the garage and all that. And then Bomber showed up, and Bomber was like a genius, self-taught instrumentalist. So he could play drums, he could play piano, he could play guitar, he could play violin, he could play the fucking flute if he wanted.
Damn.
He could do whatever he wanted, and he was genius at it.
Yeah.
So then I was out, kind of following along. And then RKL, Rich Kids on LSD, ended up on kind of an upward punk trajectory and started playing, getting in a van and doing those kind of domestic tours, and then finally going to Europe and doing European tours and Eastern Europe.
And you were with them?
I was with them for part of that in the beginning, but
like playing with them or just chilling with them?
No, chilling.
Yeah,
chilling.
Because that's like the thing is, was Josh Brolin in RKL?
Yeah, I know. No, I've had people call me, like Mike Herbert, who's sober now, and he was like, "Dude, you weren't in RKL." And I was like, "No, we were in a band called CVS, Cito Vice Squad."
Ooh, that
was a fucking horrible name, dude. Horrible name. Cito Vice Squad, and then that turned into, once Bomber got into it, RKL.
Wow.
All I know is I was in the garage, dude.
You were there. You were there in the beginning. Yeah.
And there in the beginning, and then I started, at 16 and all that, which we jumped that far, but I ended up getting kicked out of my house in Santa Barbara, moving down with my dad, sleeping on the couch with my pop, and then trying to get my shit together. And then within that, I started auditioning and lying about resumes and work that I had done that didn't exist. I finally found an agent, had to borrow $20 from the agent in order to get out of the parking lot because I couldn't pay for it. My dad wasn't doing so well at that time, and then I ended up getting in the Goonies just out of nowhere, dude, after like 300 auditions or something.
Dude, what did you get kicked out for? Why'd you get kicked out? Were you a wild kid?
I mean, for me to say that I'm wild sounds lame, but I think everybody in that
back then, in the 80s.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, I've never come across a group, and I know that they existed, and I don't know how you grew up, you grew up on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
That was as destructive as that group that I grew up with. I mean, the majority of those guys aren't around anymore. Will Moeller was the first one to die, and he was kind of like a roadie for RKL.
Okay.
And there was just a lot of like, the Herb Estate was up in Montecito. It was all fully spray painted house,
like suburbia, like those old movies,
like kind of like that, but way gnarlier.
Squats
and the like squats, and the cops would show up twice a day, every day. Damn. And it was just a thing.
Yeah.
That was just part of that. It was almost like we had created our own culture.
Yeah.
And if you look at other cultures like Bra Boys, Maruba, or Wolfpack, or Dahui, there were similarities between those Z-Boys were different.
Z-Boys, yeah.
Like if you look at Jay Adams, like everybody was Jay Adams where we were from. Whereas it wasn't Stacy who was the really smart one. Yeah. Everybody was into marketing and everybody was being focused on. Nobody was being focused on.
Just rebellious.
Nobody gave a fuck about us.
Yeah.
Ever.
The outcast, the black sheep, the fucking...
Yeah, but then but we were our own family within that because nobody cared. So I don't know how it was for Z-Boys when you had all this attention, or Skateboarder magazine, or all these photographers taking pictures. We had none of that.
Yeah.
So the amount of footage that we have on us is so minimal because nobody cared. You go hang out at Dead Ted's house and just all these people.
Dead Ted's?
Just great. Yeah, Dead Ted's.
Wow.
Yeah,
that itself is like a movie. Oh, wow.
He was in a wheelchair, and his mom let us hang out in his house by the. We all went to Santa Barbara High.
Fuck. So, I mean, pretty much punk rock is the melting pot for all of the people who don't have that, that structure at home usually, and they're the misfits and the outcasts, and we all like bond together. And even some of us get drunk, some of us don't. We fuck shit up, we break things, we steal things. We did crazy shit back then.
We did crazy shit, and that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to. It was all about manifesting your. Not necessarily rage, but I don't know. It was a creative and angry manifestation of what was going on socially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you didn't have parents, you're like, why the fuck don't I have parents?
Exactly.
Why don't they care? okay, so if you don't care, this is my reaction to that through music or through writing. Like I did a shitload of writing back then.
So even back then you were writing?
I was writing from like 7, 8 years old on. I remember my mom used to find these like circular death poems and she'd be like, what is this? Why?
So this like poems and like journaling and all that kind of stuff?
All that.
Wow.
All that. So like recently I just digitized 88 journals.
From back then too, everything?
From all back then.
Wow.
Not from all back then.
But it's
all
cool
the
you
way
have
up
stuff.
until now. Yeah, that I have stuff and now we're putting a book together and I don't know.
Yes.
You've been.
Finally, the Brolin book's coming.
You've been amazing. You know, hashtag Brolin book, hashtag Brolin book,
it's
hashtag
true.
Brolin book. Get off your ass and fucking put a book together.
Did you do writing in school? Like how were you in school? Were you doing writing in school?
I mean, honestly, because school, you know, if you were a punk, not that you couldn't do well in school, because like a lot of those guys were super smart guys, you know, and how they manifested themselves creatively was always really, really smart. But scholastically, that didn't really come until later. So I remember there was a teacher in high school, Mr. Visser, in 9th grade. And I was writing, and just grammatically and my punctuation and shit was so off. And he said, it doesn't matter. The shit that you're writing is so good. Yeah. You're on to something. So just keep writing. Don't worry about all that other stuff. You'll figure that stuff out. I love that. And that was, you know, and that the power of a great teacher. Yeah. Even now.
And you still remember that teacher.
I still remember that teacher. Yeah. There's a few teachers, Mr. Ordaz, Mr. Visser. And then I remember the other fucking teachers that were horrible. Yeah. They couldn't wait for me to get out of their class. That should have flunked me, but they gave me a D- just to get me out of their class. Damn. And they just didn't want, it was teachers that just wanted you to behave exactly as they wanted you to behave within the structure that they found appropriate. Totally. And there was no looking at the person for what they were. And I know that that's hard to do, especially when you're a teacher and teachers are so underpaid and all that kind of shit. But the few teachers that I had that you really could tell cared. They loved what they did. They cared about kids. They cared about the impact that they had on them. They cared about the fact that the legacy was carried on with their kids. Their own legacy was carried on with those kids. Those teachers changed my life. And then people later on, like Anthony Zerbe, who I did Young Riders with, who was an actor, and why I started doing theater, you know, the relationship came out of, you know, I would drive him home from work every day and we'd sit in his driveway and we'd talk for 3-4 hours every day, awesome. Dude. I'd be 20 years old, 21 years old, just listening to stories. He would ask me questions and then he'd give me books or he'd give me plays to read or he'd show me art that I hadn't been, you know, exposed to. Yeah. And it's fucking people that give a shit. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing. So we came from a culture of parents that didn't care. And then suddenly you meet people in your lives and you're like, this is having the deepest impact on me. People are like, oh, you're super educated. I go, no, I'm not. I just was lucky enough to be around a certain amount of people that turned me on to the shit that was intended. I was intended to be inside from the beginning. Yeah. But just wasn't because of whatever circumstantial, you know, things happen.
No, I believe that. You know what's funny? Like when I text you or write you, I double check my grammar all the time because my grammar sucks. Like I just recently realized that in one of our big songs, I rhymed no ideas and fears. And ideas because I'm East Coast.
But that's an East Coast thing.
I know, and I say Madonna, and my wife said, why do you say Madonna? But like my grammar's always been fucked, and I wish I really paid attention better to that in school for sure, because I fucking hated school. I skipped school. I skated all the time. I barely graduated. Yeah. I was just going to shows all the time. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
I know.
To me, there's nothing wrong with that. And I still buy grammar books.
Oh, wow.
And I'm 54 years old. Yeah. Why do I have to, I'm too, and that's that whole thing about being embarrassed. I don't give a fuck about being embarrassed anymore. So it's like, no, I don't know that thing. I want to know about that thing. I want to learn about that thing. You know, that whole idea, that kind of young idea when you have a book, but you don't want anybody to see the cover. So you're, you know, because you don't want, you don't want to be in the position to feel like you're a dumb shit. Yeah. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
What was your goals like when you got out of school? What did you want to do? Did you already get the Goonies while you were in school?
Yeah, I mean, I was 16. I'd skipped a grade, so I was young in school. I graduated when I was 17. I was a senior when I was 16 and then 17. Okay. So I was pretty young. But what did I want to be?
I was gonna say, why wasn't music but acting? you know?
No, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah, because in high school, I took youth and society, and then I took 3 years of law.
Wow.
And I was into it. I was really into criminal law. I probably was trying to figure out why I was getting in so much trouble or how I could get
yourself out of it.
You know what I mean? But I loved, and it makes sense because I love, whatever that scenario of acting is as a lawyer, you have to look for these key points, and then you have to manipulate the key points in order for people to perceive things in a certain way. It's acting. That's what it is.
True.
So it makes sense. So there were a lot of other things that I wanted to do. When I moved to LA, I got into taekwondo, and then I wanted to move. I'm a fucking addict, so I wanted. It's like if I'm competing in taekwondo and doing well, I want to move to Korea and like become a master and all this kind of shit. and then I got Goonies, and then it just kind of fell. And my mother always said this, and I always hated it. And I think my friends were super surprised when I became an actor because my dad was an actor, and I was always really against the idea of being an actor because not only was, financially it seemed like a really stupid idea because you had money one day, you didn't have money. And I remember we fluctuated through money because my parents weren't very good with money. And I was like, that's the last thing I want to do. But then when the Goonies happened, that was kind of during a trajectory of me trying to just get my shit together and do well. And then that happened. So I was in it.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I didn't love the idea, unlike what you just said about music, about getting on stage. It was always like crazy frightening for me.
Yeah.
Like I remember my knees shaking, my lips shaking, my trachea closing up. It was really like I had a massive nerve problem.
Yeah.
A fear of being exposed or whatever that was. But what I loved about it was the behavioral aspects of it. Like I was always, I don't know if it's because of the way I grew up or whatever, it was like what, the interest in what makes people tick, what makes people do what they do. Yeah. Why do certain people react in a certain way and other people react in a different way? And that was always really fascinating to me. So that was like a great exploration of that.
Yeah, and you were like in the Jiva Theater in Rochester. Was that before Goonies or after like?
I was after Goonies.
Oh, it was after. Okay, wow.
It was after Goonies, so I did Goonies.
Forgiving Thyroid Mary.
Typhoid Mary.
And then obviously Private Eyes and Young Rise. Those are TV shows, though, yeah.
Those are TV shows, but the theater thing was like all the nightmares that could happen happened. Yeah. Like every actor has a nightmare, but it never happens. Yeah. All of them happened for me. So it was opening night, Forgiving Typhoid Mary.
Sorry.
And I had a huge monologue to set up the whole play, like a 7 or 8 page monologue, and about 2 in a really bad Irish accent, a guy in seminary school, and 2 pages into it, 800 people, 750 people out in the audience. I looked down, I cleaned my glasses, I did some dumb thing, and I looked back up, and I was like, I totally had lost all the words.
Wow.
Everything. And I remember everybody, kind of like a dog in a high-pitched whistle, everybody just kind of turned their heads, like just curious what the fuck the pause was for. And I remembered nothing.
Yeah.
So I like made shit up. And then they went to manual of the stage manager. And when I left, the light stayed on, and then it kind of disappeared too late. And I went backstage, and the stage managers had their head in their hands. Like I had severely fucked up.
Damn.
But all those things lent to how hard I worked later, because anytime I'd try to like do that thing of like rest on my laurels, it would always backfire.
Yeah.
So I remember Anthony Hopkins saying like that he reads a script 150 times or something, and it made sense to me because I always felt like a dumb shit if I had to keep reading the script and really internalize it in that way. And then when I heard him say that, I was like, well, fuck, if Anthony Hopkins reads a script 150 times, it doesn't matter how many times I have to read a script.
How many times do you have to read the script?
Now I don't. I mean, now I don't have to read it a lot, but I do. I force myself to. Yeah. So in order to internalize it, it's like a great book. You just want to keep inhaling the words, and you want to keep inhaling. So some people don't like to rehearse. Some people don't like to know. They don't want to be on top of a script. I do, because I feel like when it comes down to the day of actually having to perform and all that, I have whatever ability to be able to kind of forget everything that I've I've read.
Yeah.
And then just be with the person and allow it to be spontaneous. But I don't know. I just, after 38 years, you figure shit out.
Yeah. You fuck up
works.
lines still?
Yeah, but like I remember Dune. There was one, and I'd gone to. I mean, it's a gnarly story, but I'd gone to Auschwitz. We were in Budapest, and I went to Auschwitz with my kid, and my wife, and it fucked my head up, like really.
It's heavy.
And I came back, and you try to deny that it fucked you up. But I had this big scene when I came back, and there was one line I literally could not say. Every time it came up to that line, it would disappear.
Wow.
And it was a lot of people in the scene, and a lot of people with a lot of dialogue, and they kept looking at me, and everybody's really sweet. But there was that moment where they were like dude, get your shit together. Like, I have a lot of dialogue, too. Like, help me the fuck out. And and I went to Denis and I was like, can we just not say that? Like, it's not an important line. He goes, it's a really important line. I go, but it's not. But like, if we just don't say it, we're not going to have a problem. And then he let me not say it for the wide shot. And I thought he let it go completely. And then it got to the close shot and he said, okay, now we have to say that line. I was like, no. So there was one, for whatever reason, there was like a hang up or a hiccup. And it doesn't happen often. But man, when it happens, there's nothing more humbling. There's nothing more embarrassing and nothing more humbling. I hate that. I hate that more than anything. Not being on top of your shit.
Yeah, I fuck up my lyrics sometimes.
Do you?
Live. Yeah, still. And it's super embarrassing. And sometimes the crowd won't catch it, but my band will look at me like, really, dude?
Yeah.
I had the song 26 years ago. Like,
right, exactly.
Well, you get in your thing. You like maybe think about something else.
Yeah, exactly. You're thinking about your trip that you're going to take or something. I remember Barbara. Barbara said that there was one point that she went up on her lyrics, and now she has her lyrics always.
Oh yeah, teleprompter.
Teleprompter. Yeah, exactly.
Ozzy has that. A lot of people have that.
Ozzy has that.
Oh yeah.
Ozzy can do whatever he wants to do. I don't care.
So when the Goonies comes out, is that a life-changing thing for you? Is it? I know it's like a classic movie. Was it as big as it? I feel like it got bigger throughout all the years, but when it first came out, was it like? I think it was pretty big. I
think it did really well. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think it did really well, but I think I think it did well, but I think that. Like when I did Thrashin' afterwards, which I think the only reason I got Thrashin' was because there was a poster on Sunset Boulevard at the time, and it was a huge Goonies poster. And I think that's the only reason I got Thrashin', because financiers felt more comfortable financing a skateboarding movie that nobody was going to care about, that we thought nobody was going to care about.
Yeah.
Because there was a dude on a poster right next to that office. But I think I was super bad. I think and so going from the Goonies, which was like the perfect experience.
Yeah, it's amazing.
To Thrashin', which was like a normal experience, I realized that I got to figure this shit out, and I got to figure out how to become an actor, like for real.
Yeah.
I mean, I was given the best case scenario with the Goonies, and then I was left to my own devices. It was revealed that I just sucked. At least to me then.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
At least to me then. And now I don't ever, I remember when people say, hey man, I saw Thrashin' and, it changed my life and this and that. And I'd go, yeah, I was horrible in that movie and da-da-da-da. And I don't say that stuff anymore because you take away from somebody else's experience of what they got. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy that the Red Hot Chili Peppers playing like that skate, skate pit.
I know.
Hosoi and Alva's in there. Pearl Willender, one of my favorite freestylers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's such a classic.
Yeah, I remember that day with Red Hot Chili Peppers.
And did you know Hosoi and those guys before that or no?
No. I met everybody.
Man.
I met Tony Hawk during that. I met Hosoi during that. And that was before all Hosoi went through his stuff. Mm-hmm. Lance Mountain I met during that time. I mean, they're all the skaters.
It's amazing, man. And you were a fan of probably those guys for sure.
All those guys. When I was skating as a kid, they were gods to us. Because those were all the guys that were in Skateboarder magazine and Skateboarding magazine.
Yeah.
So it was all surfing and skateboarding was everything to us, and music was everything. Acting was not everything at that point.
So that movie sounds like a dream at that time, though, for you.
It was amazing. I just played the guy from the Valley, which I hated.
I
was living in Venice at the time. I was all about Venice at the time. I wanted to be, I wanted to be Hook. But then they gave me the fucking, they're like, oh, he's the blonde guy that's like stout.
Pretty boy.
And, but I was a staunch Venice guy at that point. I mean, we all were. All of us were Venice people.
Yeah.
Somebody had to be from the Valley, I guess.
Yes, he had to have one
I had
character.
to have one asshole from the Valley.
So then from that moment on, you're pretty much just doing movies, and you consider yourself an actor. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I went back to school after the Goonies. I graduated.
That's amazing. Did people bug out? Like, did they recognize you from that in the movie?
You know, man, I've never. No.
Okay.
No, I mean, we did. I think we went back to Astoria, Oregon once as like the anniversary to Goonies, and we signed photographs and all that. But,
yeah.
You know, I just have never been, like maybe more now than ever, but I've never been a dude that's walking down the street where people are, or maybe they do, but
they recognize you?
They do, but they don't.
And
I always know it's coming. I can see it
like
peripherally.
I know you from somewhere.
Or I see somebody look up and they look too long and I go, oh, that's that thing happening.
Yeah.
But I've never had to deal with that on any mass scale, which doesn't say a lot about me, I guess.
No, it's pretty cool, though. It's pretty cool. You can just...
I remember De Niro talking about when he was doing Raging Bull and all that, just being able to kind of melt into the streets and not be recognized. And I do. I think it's a mentality. I think that people who want to be recognized...
True.
Kind of strut in a certain strut in a certain way. They dress.
Call
the
paparazzi on themselves.
Oh, dude,
that's real shit, man.
That's just so lame.
It's so lame.
It's so lame.
I know. I hear about this shit all the time. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, I mean, some people are in it for different reasons.
That's what I mean.
You're in it for the craft and the art, and you love it, and you live it, and you breathe it. You love challenging yourself.
But I was around people like that.
Yeah,
those were
sure.
people that I was influenced by, and that's what got me.
Yeah.
You know, I hear people that want to get into acting now, and they're just like. They want to be discovered on the street. They want that kind of fairy tale version of, and you know, Instagram and all this kind of stuff, and they just want to be noticed. They think it's going to fill a hole. It's never going to fill a hole. The acting life is like literally rejection, and then if you're lucky enough to have any kind of success, it's judgment. So it's rejection and judgment.
Yeah.
And then in that, if you're doing what you actually want to do, you get once in a while you get a result that people viscerally react to. Like Outer Range, it was tested weird, and it was something really new for Amazon, and it was a Western, but it had these supernatural elements to it and all this kind of shit. And you're like, how are people going to react? You know, you don't know.
I know.
Do you like the families? Is it more like, you know, Yellowstone? Is it this? Do you kind of grab that audience? And it's become its own deal.
It's its own thing, because I love Yellowstone. It doesn't remind me of Yellowstone at all, dude.
Yeah.
And I was so proud we got to go to the premiere. Thank you for that, and see it before other people saw it. And like, you're my boy, so it's like, God, I hope this shit's good. I want to tell him to his face, this shit is so good.
And it kind of sucks that when you go, you know, and it's not good, and and a buddy invites you, and you're like, you know, you get that octave.
No, but we were left like hanging, like, holy fuck, I can't wait till next week. Then we rewatched them again, and then to see like the billboards everywhere, and see like it's awesome. Like when I know your way working on that so hard, then see it get the love. It's beautiful, man.
It's beautiful.
You know
It's beautiful when you see it hit a nerve. It's not beautiful because you think, oh, this is successful. I'm happy for the financiers. I'm happy that they spent that kind of money. They spent that kind of money marketing, and I'm sensitive to that kind of stuff. But at the same time, the actors are, you know, that work so hard on it when it's 8 degrees out and you're going through nights and you're barely able to get through a scene, and people are showing up and you're having to lift morale because people just want to walk off the set. You know, nobody really understands that process.
Yeah.
And when it hits a nerve like it's hitting a nerve out there right now, and people are fucking into it, you're stoked for people. You're stoked for your crew. You're stoked for your actors. You're stoked for the studio. You know, It's great.
I forgot the actor's name. I love the dad of the 2 boys.
Will Patton.
Yo.
Yeah, I've known Will for a long time.
I know. He is fucking... His character is amazing, dude.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
He's so interesting. He's just...
I know.
Like the last episode, I don't want to talk about it. It's just, I love it, dude. I'm so psyched to see more of it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, not me too.
So do you care about? You always have highs and lows of like, did I not get that part? Did I get that part? That was a long time ago. Or also, do you care about reviews and Rotten Tomatoes and all that? Do you care about that shit?
I don't know if I care. I mean, I think
does it affect your life personally?
No, it doesn't affect my life.
Yeah.
No, because I know. Like, why does Michael Bay have a career? You know, whether you like his stuff or not, you know, you see his Rotten Tomatoes is 20% and it's made $500 million or whatever. So, you know, does it pertain necessarily? It's not like New York theater where, you know, a theater critic will come out with one review and then suddenly there'll be half the audience. It's not like that.
Yeah.
People have their own opinions. People, you know, not everybody reads reviews and all that kind of stuff. Not everybody, you know, accesses Rotten Tomatoes and says, do I want to see this movie or not? there's anyway, no, because I've done movies that aren't reviewed well that have done really well. I've done movies that have been reviewed really, really well that haven't done well. And then once in a while you do a movie like No Country that's reviewed really well, and then people still talk about it. It's lasted beyond the 5 months that it's like a thing. And that's special.
Yeah, when longevity.
That longevity.
It's crazy. Like, I always think about that. These motherfuckers that like review music and records, have they ever toured in a van or wrote a song or played a show to like 5 people in a basement? Like the people who are critics, like how do you get that job? Are you an actor? Have you written a movie or a script? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's always just to bother me back in the day, like reviews or just different things. Like, what has this person done in music?
But when it comes down to it, it's one opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
And you go, that's one opinion. You forget. There's something about a critic and a review that you think that's the mass opinion. Yeah. That's not the mass opinion.
It's like one negative comment.
That's one dude.
Yeah.
He masturbated and then he watched your show and then he took a shit and then he wrote.
Yeah.
And he's a writer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And he's trying to like, okay, I've written 19 reviews in the last 3 weeks. I have to make this review interesting and personal unto itself. And then once in a while, like back in the Pauline Kael days, Pauline Kael was a critic, or Hedda Hopper was a critic, but Pauline Kael was a critic. And, she has a huge book out of her reviews, and they're fucking brilliant, dude.
Okay.
So she had an insight that was unbelievable. There's very few people that have that kind of insight and that have that kind of interest. I remember there was one point where, and I've told this story before, but it was after Dune, and it wasn't because of Dune at all, because Dune was an incredible experience. But afterwards, I was like, I'm hitting some kind of milestone or precipice right now, and I don't know if I want to continue in the way that I've been continuing. So I started kind of questioning the acting, and it's the idea of acting wasn't as inspiring to me. And I was like, should I get more into the writing, or should I get more into directing, or whatever it is? Or should I do something else entirely, which I've done during this career trajectory. I've traded for 4 years. I've just gone in a different direction, usually forced in a different direction. But this was like a choice. And I remember there was a point where I went up to our ranch and I started watching behind the scenes of great movies. And it was one of the only times that I've been away from my kids for 2 or 3 days. And I was watching behind the scenes of, oh, that's a fart.
I'm sorry, man.
No, that's real.
I told you, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
No, it's good.
This is real life, man.
Yeah, that's. Look at, she's asleep too. She doesn't even know what's happening.
I'm sorry, man. Stella just farted, Josh. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wow, that's gnarly.
I'm sorry. I bet you never got farted on ever in an interview ever.
No, but it's very
this
real.
Super
it's very
DIY,
grounding.
I'm sorry,
it's
man.
It's very grounding. Don't apologize. You didn't fart. Was that you?
No, hell no. I got nice. My vegan fart smelled nice.
What was I even talking about?
I
was saying that I watched these behind the scenes on these DVDs, and every aspect of the filmmaking process, whether it was the editor or the writer or whatever, were all talking in the same way. Yeah. And they were all talking behaviorally. And it got me so fucking jazzed again. I was like, man, that's why I got into it. Like that's what got me wanting to deal with the rejection for 20 years. That's what sustained me. So I have to go back to this base place.
Yeah.
And it was great. So I got all jazzed about it again.
I mean, do you ever feel like quitting? I mean, you just said just now, but like back in the day or anything.
Not quitting, just morphing into other I love storytelling. I don't ever want to quit storytelling.
Yeah.
I appreciate different aspects of it more at certain times than at others. So directing more.
Yeah.
Writing more.
Yeah.
And then acting, I don't necessarily want to do all the time now. But if I do it, like Outer Range, I was offered something before Outer Range that was a subject matter that I didn't, it was working with really, really good people, but the subject matter was not something that I wanted to deal with.
Got you.
Day in and day out.
Yeah.
So Outer Range is a subject matter that I find sustainable.
Yeah,
because it's wacky.
It
deals
dude.
In like it's like going back and doing avant-garde theater. It reminds me of like early Sam Shepard. It reminds me of, Sam Beckett or
Yeah.
Ionesco or Pinter or something like that. There's just something fucking off about it and really fun.
It is, man.
That is sustainable. So,
Is there anybody you love to work with you haven't worked with?
God, man.
You work with so many people, man.
I've been really lucky.
Dude.
I've been super, super lucky. I mean, I think back in the day, it was like the idea of working with somebody like Denzel.
American Gangster.
Yeah, American Gangster, or working with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Which I did in a
Bucket list.
Woody Allen movie.
Yeah.
So I've worked with a lot of the people. And now, like, new actors are coming, like Imogen Poots. She's the blonde girl on Outer Range.
Yeah.
She's a special girl to work with. A lot of those actors are. Lily Taylor. But now it's like I'm the older dude.
Yeah, the OG on the set. Yeah.
So I'm like, the newbies come up and you're like, God, I wonder if they have that thing or whatever that thing is. Or I wonder if they're willing to put their asses on the line and be embarrassed in order to find that magic during a scene, you know? And because people are less brave than they were in the OG days.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you find that musically.
Yeah, they're worried about.
They're just worried about image.
Yeah.
And I don't have that thing.
Image.
Obviously.
Image getting canceled, just everything.
All of
Everybody's walking on eggshells. It's.
And I'm wondering, you know,
sing about it, talk about it.
Who knows what will happen with you and me in the future? But I think that thing about being canceled, I go, like, what is it about? Like, I don't think
what happened
I'm
to
mean.
us in the future?
Well, yeah,
We're gonna get
we don't know.
canceled.
Well, you never know because I don't really pull punches on what I'm going to say or how I feel.
I know. I love that.
But I also don't think that I'm mean. I don't think that I'm looking to shit on anybody, or if I feel better than anybody, or if I feel, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's why it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
it seems like it's happening to so many, and I don't know. It's an interesting thing.
It's a very interesting time with just the online versus reality stuff too as well.
Yeah,
I remember you were. I mean, your wife wasn't happy about it, but you were like giving out your phone number to people who were talking shit. And then you like talking to these people on the phone.
I know, but it was interesting. And you know, I don't want to say it like suddenly everybody sends me their phone number and like call me.
No.
Say something insulting and then.
But you were giving your phone number away.
I was giving my phone number away and it was more political. Like, you know, put something political out there, and it's like you realize if I live in the country, you're going to think a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like if your nearest neighbor is a mile away, it's just a different political mentality than if you live in the center of Hollywood in Los Angeles.
True.
It's just a different thing. You're exposed to different people. You're exposed to a different type of danger. You know, I find that people out in the country like to, you know, like have canned goods and shit, like when the end of the world comes, when they get ambushed. And you're like, you know, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But
reality.
But they like that thing. They like having a firearm on their side. They like the idea that they're going to protect their families and all that kind of shit. And then when you're here downtown, like you see guns everywhere, you see murder everywhere, and you start to get, you know, highly sensitive and desensitized to it.
True.
You know, you're like, part of you are like, yeah, people are being murdered 3 blocks away. So you become less sensitive to it, but you're like, fucking people are being murdered 3 blocks away. Like somebody just lost their life, or I just saw a body on the street, and you're sensitive to it. And it's different than when you're out in the middle of the country on some dirt road, imagining the shit that you're going to do. It's almost like you're imagining yourself being in a movie and you're Bruce Willis.
Totally.
And it's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
it's not real life.
Yeah.
But I understand it from both perspectives because I've lived both perspectives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you lived like in the woods, you lived in the city, you lived everywhere, man.
And I still do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our ranch.
It's a good balance.
It's a great balance, and there's extreme balances, but I like the extremes of silence. I like how somebody said, well, you know, what do you do up there? And I was like, I don't know what it is, but when I'm on the ranch, I'm creatively, I explode. It's just like there's none of that other energy that's you know, I like inhaling that energy when I'm in the city. But I feel like it's churning and it's instigating a lot of shit that I need silence in order to manifest.
Yeah.
So when I'm at the ranch, it's like all that shit that I've inhaled starts to come out creatively. And I don't have anything stopping it because there's nothing going on except birds and
I was going to say nature. You hear
nature and all that, which is also really inspiring.
You see the stars, just all that stuff.
Dude,
just like,
it's amazing.
Just being connected to that.
And I find it necessary to be connected to both. I need both things in my life. That's just me personally.
Yeah. And so how long have you been sober for now?
I'm not. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I put vodka in my coffee this morning.
We got something behind you.
Can you imagine?
All kinds of shit there. Moon's all the vodka over there.
Oh, look at that.
My wife doesn't even drink. What the hell is she? It's just like some shit you got in Europe or something.
Yeah, because it looks cool. Because the bottles look cool.
Yeah.
They look retro.
Yeah, like were you like partying and wilding out when you first started acting too? Like, or did you get sober? Or...
I had this thing because of the fear that I had. I think when I would work, I would be pretty straight when I worked. And then that started to bleed over later. Where I would mix work with, not being straight and it would get in the way or it would,
Did it fuck up some jobs for you?
Create concern. It fucked up a couple of jobs for me. Mm-hmm. It was not usually when we were actually working, but like rehearsing or something like that.
Yeah.
And I hated that because I always took a lot of pride in being on top of my shit and separating the two. But with, typical people who abuse, alcohol and all that, it just like you're like, okay, this is the best structure. I'll drink when I'm doing this, and then I won't drink when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Well, that lasts as long as it lasts, and then it starts to bleed over, and it starts to affect your work, and starts to affect your relationships, and then I didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah,
it's like people are like, I'm not going to drink I won't drink before I play. I'll drink after I play.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden there's a beer on stage.
Yeah.
Then your guitar player's drinking, which was my bass player, and then he's fucking shit-faced during the set.
Yeah. And he's playing like shit.
Yeah.
And it's affecting everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if you do it once or twice, that's one thing. And then if you start bleeding over into, it's affecting our music, it's affecting our fan base, it's affecting all that kind of stuff. And you go, what's the point? I don't understand the point. And I find it when you're struggling and when you're hungry, you're able to separate the two because your focus is so kind of diamond. It's like, I want to create music and I want people to hear the music. I want people to react to the music. And then when you get successful, that's that thing of kind of resting on your laurels and you start getting less hungry and you start kind of looking outside yourself and the success becomes something else and you don't know how to deal with the success. And you don't, somebody says, play that one song. Play, what was it? Gautier? Remember that Gautier?
I think so, yeah.
I remember...
Gautier?
Gautier was a band that when I did SNL the second time, it was the band, and they had a song that they were like, it was the one song they played over and over. And I remember that dude at some point we're like, we have other fucking songs.
Exactly.
But that's what happens with bands. You get known for one song.
I know.
And if you're lucky enough, you'll be around long enough, and you'll be the Rolling Stones, which doesn't exist for many bands,
so true.
where every fucking song is great.
Every song.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and I think people have a hard time with that. It's
yeah. So I mean, obviously, there's so many movies people know you from. It's not just one movie, especially the past like 5, 6, 7 years. You know what I mean? But you were like not pun intended, but you would do a bunch of things and then Grindhouse, and I feel like that 2007 where shit started really popping. Not like shit wasn't popping for you before that, right? You were still working, staying busy.
No, I was not necessarily busy, and when I look back on it, I'm really happy how it all kind of laid out because if that would have happened younger, what would it have been like? How would I have dealt with it?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I honestly don't know. But with the drinking and stuff like that.
So that's what affected those years kind of before the Grindhouse, right?
My drinking?
Just all
no.
Okay.
No. It's just that's the way it was.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I remember I was like considered the guy that should have hit but didn't. And for whatever reason. And then once in a while I'd get a role, like Flirting with Disaster was a big role for me, but it was a small movie, but it was Patricia Arquette.
Love her.
Patricia's amazing.
True.
Ben Stiller. Oh my God, like one of the greatest.
Yes.
Ben Stiller, Alan Alda, Richard Jenkins, Lily Tomlin, Mary Tyler Moore, George Segal. It was like, and I remember the director wanted me to do the movie, and the studio was like, "We're not interested in that dude." and I'm the only name that's not on the poster. Like they did everything they could. But the director was the one that said, that's the dude that I want. He's got something that I want. And it was like an amazing fucking experience. And then afterwards, I went back to doing kind of no man's land TV or movies or whatever I had to do.
You like the bad boy in Hollywood, kind of?
No.
But that's what they thought you were?
Nobody thought anything. I didn't exist, man.
That's fucking crazy,
I didn't
dude.
exist. That's the thing is you like Brat Pack or Sean Penn or, Rob Lowe or Emilio Estevez. It's like I wasn't part of any group.
Nah.
I was by myself. I was just this no man's land actor that hopefully would get hired once in a while and hopefully do a good job with movies that were usually not seen by anybody or series that weren't seen and canceled early.
Yeah. Is that weigh on you too, on your mental and everything? Like you
back then, because you have a family and you have to make money and you don't know how you're going to make money and you're living in New York City in a 500 square foot apartment and your bedroom is a closet and your kid, you stick your kid back there and then you have another kid and you're freaking out because you're like, it was always about how are we going to make enough money to get through? Because say you made 30 grand in a year, but really you only cleared 10 because you had a lawyer and an agent.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff. You had taxes. So you cleared just enough money to kind of get through. And then maybe you did a series that lasted 6 episodes. I was really lucky to do Young Riders. Young Riders, I think I got paid 20 grand an episode. And
Sick.
that was
great back then.
That was at the 3rd year, and that was huge.
Sick.
So if you're doing 22 episodes at 20 grand,
bro,
you're making like you're able to like live for a couple of years the way you've been living.
Totally.
At least. And so
great.
that I was able to live off that for a few years, a few really dry years after Young Riders.
Yeah.
And I was doing theater instead of like a lot of those guys were doing movies between seasons, and Zerby was like, you need to do theater, man. You need to cultivate your character. You need to cultivate your skill. Don't do what these guys are doing. And it was really hard to do that because I'd see somebody go do a good movie that like people appreciated, and I'd be like, well, fuck, I should be doing that. Yeah. And I'm sitting here doing theater in Rochester, New York that, only 85-year-old people are caring about, but it was the best thing I ever did.
I was going to say that. Yeah. It's probably
literally
changed everything for you.
Best thing I ever did.
So then, or whatever. So Grindhouse, that's not to talk about all your movies, but Grindhouse, No Country for Old Men, incredible, got an Oscar award. American Gangster, incredible. And then W was crazy because your dad played Reagan in the movie as well.
He did.
So that's kind of dope. You guys both played presidents.
I don't know if it was before that or after that.
Yeah.
I think it was after that he played Reagan.
It's
he won an
cool,
Emmy
though.
for it. I think he won an Emmy for it. I think, or he was nominated for it.
I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. That was Oliver came to. I think we were doing Milk, and he had done U-Turn with Sean Penn.
Oh, I remember that too. Yeah.
And I think that they had kind of a cantankerous, tough relationship during that. So I kind of brought them back together because Oliver was talking to me about W, and wanted me to do it. And then after I finished Milk, we had to start W really quickly. And I got so stressed out that I ended up getting Bell's palsy.
Holy shit.
So I lost half of the not the feeling, but half of my face just dropped. Literally.
From stress?
From stress.
Wow, man.
And I had that, and then I called Oliver and I said, look, I know I can't do this role because like my face is falling off my skull.
Holy shit.
And he was like, well, wait, how long is it going to take to get it back? And I said, look, I've done all this research now. I don't know if I'm ever going to get it back.
That's so scary.
I don't know if I'm going to get it partially back, or I don't know if I'm going to get it, and I don't know. There's no timeline. It's like, it's depending on the person. And he said, well, go take care of yourself. And And then he would call every day, and I'd say, stop calling me because it's creating stress. Why are you calling me? And then I'd call him 2 weeks later, and I'd say, no, there's no improvement. I don't know what to tell you. You should call Sean. You should have Sean do it, or maybe Sam Rockwell would be great. And ironically, Sam Rockwell ended up getting nominated for playing W 20 years later, or 15 years later, whatever.
Wow, man.
So yeah, eventually I got better. And I remember right before we started shooting, we did an Entertainment Weekly photo shoot with Playton, a photographer, and I still had like a lazy eye.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it when you look at it. But
that's scary, man.
It's wild.
And that's just stress. That's crazy.
It's
the power of
stress.
that.
It's stress. Just wanting to do a good job and like freaking out and being in a little room, eating shitty, air conditioning fucking hitting you all day long, the worst. And trying to get the voice down and trying to get all that stuff down and just driving you like, why do I do this? And I shouldn't be an actor anymore. I should go do something else. And then you just end up driving yourself into such
questioning your
stress.
shit.
Totally.
Oh, you were a pretty harsh critic of yourself, obviously.
During the process, not afterwards. Like,
but I'm saying in general, just throughout your career.
I don't look back and think of it in those terms. Like, did I do what I needed to do in order to serve the story? Did I do a good enough job? Like, No Country is a good example. When I look at No Country, I was like, I did exactly what I needed to do. Not, oh wow, you're so great in that film. That's not my business. But other, that's why. Yeah, I never got to that place where I was like, am I good or am I not good? Or that's other people's business.
I mean, that was incredible. I mean, the scariest part of that movie was Homeboy's hair, man.
Homeboy's hair.
Yo,
I know, it's a great thing. It's a great decision.
Man. It was just incredible, man. Like, Milk's incredible too. You played Harvey's killer. That was an incredible movie, man. And I heard like the community was weird at first, or like they accepted you.
Yeah, I was staying. God, what is that? I was staying in. Oh God, why am I forgetting what it's called? But the gay part of town. Mm-hmm. I was staying above it on the hill, so I would come down for breakfast and all that, especially during rehearsals. And when it started to get out there that I was playing Dan White, and people were super supportive, super supportive.
Yeah.
Where I thought they'd be like, "Oh, you're the fucker that's playing that killed our guy."
Yeah.
But it was the opposite. It was great, and it was. Not only were people supportive, that was an amazing community. It was an amazing group of actors.
Yeah.
We had so many people that knew Harvey that were on set that were really, really super helpful. I remember when I first came to the set, Cleve saw me, who was really close with Harvey, and he was like, "That's the wrong guy.
Wow.
Like, you got the wrong guy." And I came as me. I hadn't done anything yet. And then once we did the haircut, once we started rehearsals and all that kind of shit, he was like, "Oh, I get it now. I get it." But it's hard to hear somebody who knew Harvey and say, like, you miscast him.
That's it's like, let me.
But I was so used to it at that point.
Let me show you my work though. Let me show you how I can do it first before you judge me.
But I don't know if No Country had come out yet. Okay. I don't know that people again only knew me as this guy that, like, I don't know, was kind of like got by.
Mm. Is it crazy? People like they'll see you as a character from a movie and think that you're that person, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, that's that's more like TV. I remember in TV people would think that. Like I do Young Riders, people are like, you think you're so tough, don't you? You'd be like,
or say something to you like in
draw
public or something, yeah,
or whatever. But that never happened after like 35.
Okay.
People just kind of appreciate the work for
what it is. But even like
with
Thanos and Cable and stuff like that. Like
Thanos is a weird thing, man. Thanos is like, kid, like adult. When kids come up to you, it's great. When adults come up to you and you see that thing in their eye, like it's like a craze. It's a craze. They're like, can you talk to me in that voice? And I'm like, it's a weird kind of obsession. Marvel has a fan base that's upset, like that's been their lives. That's literally been like just inhaling all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I just don't know how to deal with it half the time.
But that's a definitely different level of it. Put you into a different world of people. Do you know what I'm saying? As far as people,
it was a widely seen film. So
yeah,
I know that the Endgame was like the #1 film, and I think the other one was number 5 of all time. So it was a lot of people saw it. So like, oh, you're the 800-pound, 7-foot purple dude.
Yeah.
I would much rather be the purple dude in that situation than be anybody else in that movie.
Yeah.
I think they've had a tougher time just because you can identify them. With me, it's based on my face, but it's not.
Yeah, but then you get toys and all kinds of crazy shit out of that.
I didn't get anything.
There was no characters they sold?
No, they did. They sold them. They didn't sell them to me.
I'm just saying, though, like, have you had toys of yourself before that? Probably Goonies, I'm sure.
No, I don't remember any. I don't. Maybe Goonies a little bit.
Yeah.
Like bobbleheads or something like that. But with Thanos, somebody would call me once in a while and be like, "Hey, I have access to a 6-foot Thanos. Do you want one?" And I go, "No."
Like
I don't want a 6 foot Thanos in my house.
in your house.
Yeah.
Obviously, Inherent Vice. I love that. That was an incredible movie as well, man. That was before all that stuff too. Sin City. I love Old Boy. I fucking love Labor Day. I love that movie. Kate Winslet. Oh, I just loved it. I just love.
Because you and I like to cry.
Yeah, I love like emotional movies like that.
I know, me too.
Wall Street, True Grit, Men in Black 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. So much shit, man.
Yeah.
It's just a long, it's just a longevity career. I think it's beautiful, man.
It's fun because it's mixing it up. You know,
Yeah.
It's mixing it up. But I remember somebody from Universal, Donna Langley, said to me, you know, we really like to see you in Sicario. That's a great character for you, and you should explore that character more.
Great.
And it was a great moment. We were in Berlin, and we were, I think Hail Caesar was at the Berlin Film Festival.
Yep.
We weren't sure how it was going to do, but she said that moment was like super personal and super important. And I remember after that, I did Legacy of a White-tailed Deer Hunter. I decided to do Deadpool, where I don't think I would normally do that at that point. Yeah. I decided to do Avengers. I decided to do a second Sicario, and that was a fun run.
Yeah, insane.
And then now, you know, you're like, that's what I told you. I hit that precipice, and it was like, okay, what do we want to do now? Yeah, let's look for a Western, but let's look for a Western that's really off camber.
Yeah.
Or we developed this role or this script with Peter Dinklage, where he and I are playing twins.
I think you told me that's amazing, man.
You know, gained not a bunch, but a little bit of weight for that, and just, you know, it's just a different type of character.
Yeah.
And you're like, and that's one of those things that you go back to this base place, like, is this going to work? Was I getting too comfortable in that one area?
Yeah.
And kind of resting on my laurels there, and now I'm going to do something completely the opposite. And will it work? Will people embrace it or not?
Is it straight up comedy?
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Yeah.
Dramedy. Whatever that is.
Will that come out this year?
Yeah, I think so. At the end of the year.
And how hard is it to? You have 5 children.
I have 5 children.
Wait, Eden,
Trevor, Eden, Westland, Chapel, and you.
Okay, thank you. And is it true Trevor would sketch your characters?
Yeah, I mean, he did a couple of times.
That's one, cool, though, dude.
I think you came over to my place, and I don't know if I showed you on the wall. I have, when I did Grindhouse, I sent him the script of Grindhouse because I couldn't figure out the character, and I said, will you sketch what you get when you read it? And he sketched it, and it was great. He put a big belly on him. He put these pills on his bedside table, and he put a thermometer in his mouth.
Wow.
And the thermometer to him was gauging his rage, his level of rage. I thought that was such a fucking great
That's
thing.
cool,
So we
man.
ended up using that.
So it's been obviously balancing family and your career and all that stuff. Seems like you do it pretty well.
Yeah, only because I think the family is a priority.
Yeah.
It's never not the priority. I have to work.
Yeah.
I have to bring in money to be able to live.
Yes.
So I have that. And now it's a little different because I have choice, which can be a really wonderful, but it can also be a little crazy making because you're like, well, what's the right choice? What do I want to do? And then you have to go back into yourself and saying, what do I actually want to do, or what's going to be? You don't know. You never know what's going to be successful. Like what I said about Outer Range. I was like, I don't know if people are going to respond to this or not.
Yeah.
But I think the family, I think my kids know this, my older kids for sure, that they were always the priority, you know, that even when I couldn't be there. I remember once in Tucson, Arizona, like I fell asleep with my son on the phone. He was in New York and I was in Tucson, Arizona, and we woke up 6 hours later still on the phone.
Wow, man.
And I remember hearing him going, Papa. And I was like, hey, man, what's up? Good morning.
Dude, that's
You're
beautiful,
still
man.
You know, and it's stuff like that. Like you remember, and that's what resonates for the kids. And you want to know. And I don't know if that comes out of all the stuff that we were talking about before about families being neglectful, or, you know, I've heard your mom on this podcast and I thought she was so freaking great. I thought she was like one of the great characters of all time. My mom was a great character. I wish she was still around to be able to do a podcast with, because it would be similar. When I heard your mom, I was like, oh my God, she's like my mom. But
awesome.
But it I don't know if it's because of that time and because of that era, whatever that was, if I react differently, or I don't know. Like, you know, to me, like one of the best compliments is comes from my dad. And he says, you're such a great dad, man. I love
That's
the dad that you are.
man.
You know, he said, I never could do what you're doing. I could never, you know, he said, but I love watching you with your kids. It's beautiful. And that's like an amazing compliment.
Dude,
amazing.
That's huge.
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, and I wish my dad was here for that. You know what I'm saying? That's where my emo-ness comes in, is not having a dad to like hit up and say, hey, you know, teach me this, or maybe when he took me fishing or to baseball, because I was 3 when he died. Yeah. So yeah, to have that still is beautiful, man.
How did he die? Not having, if you don't mind me.
Yeah, my dad died at 33 of a rare heart condition.
Wow.
33. I remember I was after school at my aunt's house, and they said my dad had chest pains, and he went to the hospital and never came back.
Wow.
So I definitely have daddy issues because my mom didn't let us go to the funeral, didn't have any closure, say goodbye to him, and my 2 older brothers were fucked up probably more from it. But yeah, I definitely have.
I don't know if you have that thing with Max, but I know that I have that thing with my kids, that I'm always afraid that that's going to happen to them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have that thing in me where I go, like, I don't want to, you know, because we never know. You don't know when you're driving down the street. You don't know when you just don't know. And I go, I don't want my kids to have to deal with that. I don't want to the same thing that you dealt with at 3, the same thing that I dealt with at 27.
Yeah.
And then you just get a call and you go, that person will no longer be in your life forever.
I fucking hate death. I hate even talk.
I know.
I even think about like how old we are and like, damn, we're all like halfway in our lives. Like, how long are we going to live to? And like, exactly. I want to be here forever to watch my son. You want to watch your kids.
That's it.
I hate thinking about it, but it's definitely part of life.
It's just part of life that literally everybody has to deal with. And it sounds so morbid, but it's just part of the deal.
But I still want to, dude.
I don't want to either.
I don't want to. When I think about it.
Figure it out.
That's why I'm telling my son, you can live here as long as you want. You're 19.
Yeah.
I'll build a fucking apartment for you in the garage. I don't want to. It's only my only kid. So it's like, we're like tight.
Yeah.
So
no, I know how tight you are.
Yeah, it's like
I tell you that. I mean, you and I met on the street.
Yeah.
But it was beyond that on Instagram when I would see you and Max and this dog, right?
In the car videos.
In the car videos that would crack me up, and I was like, I have to know this dude. This guy's amazing.
Thank you, man.
And it was all based on you and your relationship with your kid.
Yeah, man.
Don't start crying.
I'm not, but I think it's amazing that Eden, she's fucking on Yellowstone, killing it.
I know.
And she's an amazing singer.
Yeah.
What's the name of her group again?
Attaboy.
Dude, it's awesome.
She just finished her 3rd album.
Dude.
She's getting married very, very, very soon.
Wow.
And I go up for that.
The guy's cool?
Love the dude.
Okay.
Love him. Cameron, he's amazing. And yeah, man,
but
it's like, it's all.
Like, oh, fuck.
I know. And you know what's great about her? And like I said, I was harder on my kids. I think harder on my older kids when they were young than the kids I have now. Whereas now, like what you're talking about, like when you start, like last night, we all slept in the same bed, all 4 of us.
Fucking amazing.
And that's just one of those things that you go, yeah, but developmentally, they're supposed to be on their own. They're supposed to be in their room. They're supposed to be in this. And then at one point you go, fucking, what about people with big families in Italy with 9 kids and they're growing up in a 2-bedroom apartment or 1-bedroom apartment and all this kind of stuff? They're not all fucked up.
No.
So why can't I have my kids in the room? I don't need them in the room, but they sleep better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to do that. I'm willing to take the consequences of whatever that is, but I just want to fucking hang with my kids all the time.
Yeah, we did that too. When like, okay, is 4 too old? Is 5 too old? And like, is he ever going to leave the bed? But like, one day I told my wife, like, doesn't matter how long he sleeps with us for. Yeah. Because one day he's not going to be in the bed, and we're going to wish we had those moments again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
How old
like,
is he now?
19.
And he still sleeps in your bed.
No, he's with.
No. I know.
But it's like, it's just beautiful. Do any of your other kids, they act at all too, or do music?
No, my son works in Albuquerque with a buddy of mine that started a big, like, it's a multiplex bar system. It's like a sports bar, but there's 5 different bars. It's amazing, dude. It's called Revel, and he helps run that.
That's cool.
Totally happy, stoked. I see him tomorrow. He's here. He's in town. And, so he's stoked on that. Eden's, dealing with what I've dealt with for years, which is what's the next job and, all that stuff. But she's doing very well. She just worked with Patricia Arquette.
That's amazing.
Which was great. And I saw Patricia not too long ago. She was like, I just worked with Eden. I was like, no way.
That's so cool, dude.
That's really rad because I've known Patricia since I was 25.
Wow, man.
So to be able to know that, 20 whatever years have gone by and now she's working with my daughter and it's just cool as shit.
Does she ask you for advice about acting?
No. No.
Okay.
No. And
Okay.
people have asked me that forever about my dad.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the advice? I think he gave advice. I don't know if I listened.
Okay.
But it's the trajectory of everybody's career is so different.
Yeah, that's true.
That you go, like, what would the advice be? It would be like, learn how to relax. Or I remember my dad brought up, like, don't wear shoes that are too small. I was like, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
It meant something to him. Didn't mean anything to me. But watching them, like watching my dad, had more influence than anything.
Totally.
Or maybe Eden watching me, or seeing how I dealt with the business, or the fact that I didn't let it necessarily get to my head. She's super, super grounded, and she works super hard.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that work ethic. My son's the same way. My son works super hard, and I love seeing that in my kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you think did you feel pressure to, like, be under your dad's shadow as far as, like, you acting? Or
I did in the beginning, because he was the guy who did Marcus Welby, or he's the guy who did Hotel, or of course you want to be an actor because you're trying to ride on the coattails of your dad.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do with your life, so you're just going to take the easy route kind of thing. At least that's what I made up in my head. So there was that whatever shadow I was running. But I think when I did theater, it was different because my pop hadn't done theater. And I think that whatever decisions I made, whether they were in reaction to him or not, it became my own road as opposed to, can you help me get a job? Can you help me get a job? Can you help me get a job?
Put a word in for me.
Yeah. Which was never the case. And I
love
think
that.
And after a certain amount of years, you become your own deal.
Of course.
And so no matter what anybody says, it didn't matter. People are like, oh, you're an actor because
your
you're
work
dad. And
proved it.
you're like, I'm just doing the work that I'm trying to do. And I hope that it has an impact. And if it doesn't, then I'm sure I'll be out of this business before, you care to comment again.
But my son's like that too. He doesn't want, I don't want your hookups. I don't want this and that. If I get him something here and there, like I just got him a good deal on a drum set or some cymbals, but he wants to become his own, do his own thing.
Which I understand.
Yeah, I love that.
And for you to fight against that, he's just going to fight you more.
Yeah.
So you're like, you have to, even if they come back. And that's the thing. It's like that whole idea of you let them go and then they'll come back and they have the space to be able to come back.
Yeah.
But he has to, if it's all based on you, then what? Then where's his identity?
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy. We don't own our children. Like, we make them, we raise them, and then we don't own them. They just go off into the world, man. It's fucking crazy, man.
I know.
Because you feel like you do when you have them, and it's just.
I need a liquid death.
I got you, bro. You want a bubbly one or a regular one?
A regular one.
You love it. Tell us how much you like liquid death.
By the way, I'll take a bubbly.
Oh,
No, I'll take this.
I've been lacing you with liquid. Dude, thank you, because you ordered. I think it was Outer Range where we got you, sent you some liquid death, right? Some pallets out there.
You didn't send me, some actual pallets. Like, people don't send pallets; they send a box. You sent like 12 boxes, 15 boxes. I got to tell you, man,
cool,
I do, and I'm not doing this because you told me to do this, but I love this stuff, and
I
don't know how they've become as successful as they've come, because Liquid Death to me is like, that's not a name, that's not a successful name. And I even looked at their Instagram and I was like, this Instagram sucks. And they're everywhere, and it's good. That's why. It's a great parallel to whatever the cosmetic reaction to somebody.
Yeah.
If they have depth, if they have good water, that's all that fucking matters.
And it's good water.
And it's great water. It's not good
from
water.
Austria.
Is it
mountains,
from Austria?
The mountains of Austria.
What's so good?
And the cans from there too. But I remember sending it to you, like, what the fuck is this? But everybody behind it, involved in it. It's like the dude who started it, his whole, do you know what I mean? His whole goal and his whole mission.
Yeah.
And it's like shocking that the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
Like all that.
I remember that. You told me about the Super Bowl.
But it's super punk though. You know what I mean?
It's soup. Well, that's what I mean. It's like something that shouldn't necessarily be successful. It's like, we're going to have a water and we're going to call it Liquid Death.
Murder your thirst. But it's just super punk though. You know what I mean?
It's super
and
punk.
so many other companies,
So
I'm not
is
going to
the
say their
burp.
names, they hate Liquid Death and they're threatened by Liquid Death. But it's just water in a can.
But
that's all it is.
Talk about punk, man. They're threatened by something that shouldn't work, or this idea that it shouldn't work and it is working.
Yeah.
There's nothing more punk
People
than
get
that.
pulled over by the cops for having this in the car.
I know. What about your kid drinking it?
I know, dude.
Your kid drinking a 40. You know what I mean?
And I think kids who want to like hang out, maybe act older, hang out with their parents, they want to open one of these up with their, you know what I mean?
How great is it being pulled over for drinking a can of liquid death and then telling the cop that you're sober? 8+ years.
You probably still get a ticket because they're probably embarrassed and bummed that like they wasted their time.
Exactly.
What do you think the biggest misconception about you is? Or is there one?
I think that's something that I am, or I fuck. How do I answer that question?
Like, is there something ever was
I know what you mean.
It was like something about you, like, that's not even fucking me, man. Because
I think it's the same thing that you have.
Totally. They think they really know you.
That you're covered in tattoos, that you're a singer of a punk rock band, you've been around for a while, and you're the most emo guy I know.
Thank you. It's a
You're
compliment.
welcome. It is a compliment. I mean, I ride choppers.
Yeah, you love for motorcycles.
I love motorcycles.
I've never ridden one, but yeah.
You know, I've been riding my whole life. My dad put me on an Indian when I was 3.5 years old.
Sick.
Took the training wheels off 2 weeks later. You know, it's just been a major part of my life, or growing up on a ranch and being involved in Westerns and all that kind of stuff. There's some idea, some manual that was put out there that guys that have those cosmetics or have those interests are supposed to act in a certain way. And I have no interest in acting that way at all. You know, there was a book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and I read that book 20 years ago, and I was like, I'm fucking Venus. Like, I'm a chick. I'm a chick. And I don't give a fuck. That's okay because I'm interested in that. I'm the dude that's saying, hey, we should talk about this. Or I'm the dude who's crying at the commercial.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm the dude. I talked with Dax Shepard about that, and I was saying that when I see something really sad, maybe I contract a little bit. But when I see people performing some act of bravery, or a mother lifting a car off her child, or an act of kindness, I'm like, I'm jello, man. I'm just the sappiest motherfucker, and I don't mind it. I like it. I went to a buddy, Elijah Allen Blitz. I went to a buddy of mine. You know, he said, I did this short film, and I want to show Wesleyan because she's the core audience. She's 3 years old. I want to show Wesleyan. And I went over there and I saw it, and it's about how as we get older, we stop using our imaginations. Okay. We stop resorting to this kind of fantastical way of thinking that we have when we're children. And I'm sitting there, and Wesleyan's watching it, and she's really enjoying it. And I'm over here, fucking tears pouring down my face. And I was like, yeah, that's that thing that, you know, a man is best a man when he keeps the heart of a child. That's a motto I try to continue to live by.
Dude. I have a heart of a child too.
I
still cry when I see E.T. That was my favorite movie. When he's in the river and he's all ashy and white, I cry at everything. And I think also, this is me. This is me on the gram. This is me in my kitchen. And maybe I do put myself out there when I post videos of what I'm feeling from my heart, and people see that as weakness. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to be hardcore. What are you supposed to be, a hardcore singer in a hardcore band, and you can't. You gotta be tough, or you can't have these emotions. That I just when I put my shit, that's just me. It's like nothing else. People know that's me. I love Coldplay. I fucking cry when I see them live.
I know you.
It's my fucking favorite band. I'm not ashamed. I love them more than most punk bands. But I've always been like that. This is just me, who I am. I've always worn my heart on my sleeve. Tattoos are how I express myself. This is my addiction.
But you love that about you, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever, that's you. And I don't understand the other way.
If somebody says something that's not true about you online, obviously you should never respond to that person or react to that person because that's what they want from you. That's how they win. Right. But sometimes it does eat at you like, fuck, I wish I could just say that. That's not true. You don't even fucking know me. This is what you see on here. But all that shit on your phone is not, like, this is reality, me and you right now. Like, that phone shit is not. It's great to promote different things. You know, inspire people, But as you get older, I think that's the difference between, you know, somebody asked me this morning, do you feel as a parent you deal with things differently now than you did before? Yeah. And as I get older, there's your boy. Jesus Christmas.
There's your boy. I'm coming in for a liquid death.
Good
What's
morning.
Up, pal? How are you?
We're talking about life,
nice
man.
To see you.
Don't interrupt the podcast, okay?
Hi.
Good morning.
As
you get older, we're talking about the internet and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get out of here, my podcast. Don't kill the vibes. Get your liquid death and kick rocks.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Hi. Okay, bye, guys.
Liquid death and then out of here.
Take care, you guys. Beautiful life.
It just walks all over you.
Dude. Oh, about caring about internet, I guess that we're talking about.
Caring about internet, and as you get older, you have the choice. You go, do I really want to react to that? Why am I reacting to that? I understand that there's the manipulation of like somebody saying something to you because they want you to say something back so they can say, oh, look at this exchange that I had with this guy and all that kind of stuff.
Screenshot it.
I don't think in those terms, so I forget. They're just another human being to me.
Totally.
So even if I react strongly, I'm reacting to another human being, which is why I used to say, just fucking call me. And then I would end up having these conversations with these people that were super interesting because it was a different perspective than my own. And I was curious, like, why do you see things through these eyes? Why do you think that all Democrats are bad?
Yeah.
Why am I supposed to think that all Republicans are bad?
Totally.
Like, I don't understand that kind of extremism. Like, can you really live without a differentiation of thought? No, you need differentiation. You need to be challenged in a certain way.
Yes.
In order to understand, why you're living the way you want to live, why you're, expressing the way that you want to express. I don't understand this idea of I want you to think like me and only like me. That's like a Hitler mentality.
It's crazy.
And it makes no sense to me.
I agree, man.
If life were just this simple and this safe, and if everybody just thought based on this manual, everything would be okay. And I go, fuck, how is that any different than what they did in Russia back in the day when it was USSR and and communism, and I don't understand, like, why do you want that now? I don't understand the lack of differentiation of thought or an inclusion of a differentiation of people.
I agree.
That is punk.
Yeah, my wife's not vegan. My wife's not straight edge. I don't hang out with people like me. All my friends aren't. It would be so boring if all of us acted and all into the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I love having a conversation with people who aren't from our world. You know what I mean?
I do too. And maybe I don't understand it. Yeah. But I'm interested in understanding it.
Yeah.
But people, it's funny when you get into conversations with people who think very differently than you, they think by you trying to understand it that you want to be like them. Mm-hmm. And I go, no, I just want the knowledge. And then I'll assess myself whether it's something I feel like I want to be more like or not.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, online gets really like that, forcing opinions and separation and division, and you have to like this or that guy's
The
wrong.
thing about Instagram, dude, is it's consequenceless reacting. You know what I mean? So people can say what they say with no consequence. If you say something that is said in a comment on Instagram to my face right now, I'm going to react to you.
Totally.
So when you say it, you're going to keep in mind, oh, he's actually going to hear me say, like, we're in the same room.
Yeah.
So I have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's like that's a human thing that you go, okay, I have to keep my surroundings conscious.
Yeah.
Whereas on Instagram, you're throwing shit out there and you're like, look, nobody will ever find me. Mm. So you say shit that you would never say in person.
Face. Ever. I like that meme about obviously the Tyson thing that's happened. There's a meme about Tyson, like,
I saw it.
People getting smacked.
Didn't you send it to me?
Yeah. But there's also a meme was a while back, like, whatever happened to people getting smacked in the face for talking shit on. Something about talking shit online and reality, like
Tyson said that.
Yeah. And it's just like half the shit people say, they never say anything to your face. Or if you confront them, go, oh, I was just kidding. Oh, thanks for responding. It's just like it's.
Yeah, no, I've said this before, and I've actually gotten shit for it. But like, I remember in high school, back when you were allowed to fight without major repercussions. Yeah. Some of my best friends came out of fighting. Like, I remember we used to, at Santa Barbara High School, we would run down to the arcade back when arcades first kind of started happening. Yeah. And we'd have our stack of quarters or whatever, and we'd run down there and we'd put our quarters up on the thing, and then whatever person would go first, and then you were after them. And I was standing too close to somebody's video game, and the dude fucking turned around, he knocked me out. He literally just punched the shit out of me, and I woke up and I was holding onto his ankle, and I couldn't figure out why I was holding onto somebody's ankle. But that dude and I became close friends later. His name was Kim, and we became close friends.
That's amazing.
So those fights that would happen and all that adrenaline, all that stuff, but then you're hurt and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm saying, but
I know what you're saying.
There was something about that base communication
Yeah.
that allowed for friendship to be cultivated. And I miss that because I think a lot of the violence now comes out of the fact that we're not able to do anything and that we're so scared and that we live in such contraction.
True.
So then when it does manifest, it manifests in this extreme way, or rage or something like that. How do you get away from rage? It's like somebody talking, it's like if you and I continue to talk, this is what we get used to.
Yeah.
If we don't talk, things will come out in fits and starts, and because you're just not used to it.
I mean, especially now coming out of the pandemic and stuff, people being on lockdown, only on their phones the whole time, not interacting with other humans.
Are you pretty disciplined around your phone? Will you put your phone down?
I mean, that's why I love the podcast, because I put it away for like 2 hours or whatever. Yeah, I try to at night. Like we'll do like no phone movie night.
Yeah, good.
Especially Max, put your phone in your room. You know what I
totally.
mean? Like, yeah, you have to try to do that. And now I've been shutting it off on the flights because now you have Wi-Fi. You can do it the whole time, and I shut it off, act like it used to be, and just
So I think about that with our young kids. Like they see you on your phone. They pick up the phone. They want to take a picture with your phone, and just that whole relationship with the phone.
A lot of kids on iPads, I see.
Yeah, man. Or all you got to do is put a kid in a car and like let them watch 5 movies on a drive.
And that's the thing that people do. It's
totally,
like babysitting
man.
them.
And you have screens on the back of your seat and all that. We don't do any of that.
You know what's scary is that now, like when we were younger, you get bullied at school, and then you'd go home and escape that, maybe hide in your room, not tell your parents. But now the kids get bullied 24/7. Yeah. Like you can't escape it.
I know.
And I had this thing where something happened with my son, and I wanted to call the school, and he said, "Don't do it. You call the school, then I'm a snitch, then I'm gonna get beat up." So we can't do anything about it. We wanted to go to the school and deal with something. We can't do that.
Yeah. Why? Why can't you go to
school? Well, because we wanted to, but my son begged me not to, because then if you tell on me,
they're gonna find out,
and then they're gonna fuck me up. Actually, fuck me up. So it's this hard thing of protecting your kid from that and the online stuff. And like we warned my son many years ago about that, like different sketchy people or catfish, just random DMs he'd get, and he'd show us, and stuff like that.
You forget that. I mean, that's why when you do these deep dives on like Netflix or whatever, these documentaries on bad people. Yeah. You forget that they exist.
The Tinder swindler? Stuff
no,
like that.
I haven't seen
That's
that
a crazy one.
Really?
Dude. Oh, yeah. It just came out.
I'm telling you, look at this stuff and you go, how, like shady.
Yeah.
And I don't have that. I don't have that shady thing. I don't have that part of me that wants to like smile at somebody and then go do something really fucking awful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I forget that exists. And my wife is more kind of attuned to that than I am. And she's like, set the alarm. And I'm like, nobody's coming. And she goes, but they could. And she's right.
My wife, she's...
Is she?
She's not worried. No, she's just ready for anything, man.
Yeah, she is. Moon is ready for
anything. Yeah, she's.
I know.
I'm not tripping on anything. Like I got my wife. I'm safe, dude.
Your wife is. It's kind of like my wife. They're like the dudes. They're from Venus. I know, from Mars. From Mars.
What was your last real job?
My last real job?
Not that acting's not real.
No. I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. God. Well, you could say that when I got away from acting and I started trading, that was a real job.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, it was a self-propelled job, but it was a real job. But the last real job I had, let's see, I worked at Rocky Galenni's as a cook.
Sick.
And then I worked at RG's Giant Hamburgers as a cook. But I ended up fucking up that job.
You aspired to be a chef at one point.
I did, man. I wanted to be a chef because of that experience.
Yeah.
I loved that experience. And it was an open kitchen, and it was loud, and we had, people singing arias in the thing. We had a caricaturist that would draw these caricatures of people, on the walls and all that. It was just I just liked that electric.
Yeah, the energy.
Yeah. Being around. So it was less to do with this is a skill that I would love to cultivate as opposed to I like being around this kind of society.
Yeah. Do you still cook?
Yeah. When I do, my family loves it.
Yeah.
But I don't do it often.
When I do, my family hates it.
They
I'm
do.
a terrible cook.
Are you but you're a vegan. You should know how to make all the
make a
great
fucking lettuce
vegan
sandwich or something. But like my wife cooks. I'm a terrible cook. I've tried like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Literally almost burned this kitchen down. Yeah. And the thing about it is they break my balls so hard that my confidence is so low.
Around cooking?
Yeah, so I'm trying to learn even more, like learn how to do it more. But like, yeah.
Is Moon a good cook?
She's good enough. She does great. Yeah.
She's good enough.
I mean, I love you, baby. You're a great cook, babe. But she cooks the stuff, pasta, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we eat out way too much, and I definitely, I don't know. I that's one thing in my life I wish I stepped it up. as an adult, maybe it's not too late to learn how to cook.
It's this idea that's like the urban mentality, is the idea of like having to prep for an hour or 4 hours or 6 hours. Dude. You're gonna make
or making juice.
You don't have
too.
it make it a brisket, but you don't eat brisket.
But even making juice, like the vegetables, all that stuff. Let's
and
go buy
clean
that
the thing
shit.
out and all that kind of stuff. You just want to go down to the corner.
That's why Highland's going to bring that back.
I know.
Juice company.
Oh, is she really?
No, I said she should.
Oh, she should. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, love that.
I know. That's
I
my wife's sister who started a juice company that was really, really good.
What's the name of it again?
Oh Health by Highland?
No, it was a name though too. It was a cool name.
Oh, what was the name?
God damn, you blew it up too.
I know I did.
Well, hopefully she brings that back.
Yeah.
Do you have any major regrets?
Major regrets. Oh shit! Not doing this podcast.
This is always
waiting this long to do this podcast.
No, this has always been a thing, dude. I'm glad, dude. I'm glad. This is so awesome here. This is wonderful. This is fun. So relaxed and chill in my kitchen now. I have coffee.
Now it's mellow.
Yeah,
like in the beginning, I remember you said,
weird.
"Let's go have coffee in the morning," and I go, "Let's not have a conversation before we actually start this."
I thought you were joking.
I want to actually like roll out of bed and start a conversation.
Well, we have such mutual love for each other and respect for each other. It's just crazy how that happens. How like you really run into a person. Obviously, I knew who you were, but you didn't know who I was. Just ran the street, and then this friendship happened since 2016. It's just cool. And then you got busy. Yeah. It's just cool that you're here when it's talking about life. But
we've always, there's something about you and me that there's never a time factor. I feel the same way with Anthony Zerbe. It's like you and I will talk and we'll text, and then we won't for a little while, but when we do, it's like the conversation never ended.
Exactly. And you could be friends with somebody, not see him every fucking day or talk to him every day. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a real.
It's a real relationship.
It's a real relationship.
Yeah, it's a loyal and trusted relationship.
So back to regrets.
What are my regrets? It's hard for me to regret anything. I mean, there's things that I've done, I think, while I was drinking that I regret. There's putting people in a position of uncertainty that I regret when they didn't know like what the fuck I was going to do and when I was going to do it. Or when I was getting in a lot of trouble, my family being so uncertain about how I was going to turn out. Like now that I have kids and I look at my kids and I go, God, that concern is real.
Yeah.
Whether you were a great parent or not doesn't matter. When you're talking about your kid and your own flesh and blood, the concern that you have for that child feels unbearable when that child is in pain or in confusion or spinning.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And like when you see Max surfing, or you send me a picture of Max doing it like an incredible off the lip, or drumming unbelievably.
Yeah.
Like I feel your pride.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is when you see them in peril.
Yeah.
And you're like, all I want to do is take their place and take their pain for them.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So I think when I was selfish, that's what I regret. Would I change it? No, because had that not happened, I wouldn't be who I am now. And that sounds like a cop-out, but I like what's happened now, because I remember like around 3 or 4 years into sobriety, I remember when my kids changed and they trusted me totally.
That's amazing.
So they went from like, are you for real?
This time?
Yeah, are you for real? To I can rely on that dude. Totally, I can rely on that dude.
That must feel fucking amazing.
That was amazing. And not that it was extreme, not that they didn't rely on me at all.
Yeah.
But there was a total, like, I completely, like, you've been consistent enough where I know I can call you at any time, day or night, and you'll be there for me.
100%. There's a difference between financially helping them out when they need it,
That's
or
different.
Actually being there mentally, physically, and listening to. Yeah, 100%.
Financial is bullshit.
That's what I'm saying.
Financial is bullshit.
That's nothing. So when you're there for them and listen and all that, like, I can't even imagine. That's beautiful, man.
No, it's like parents who are like, look, I gave you $500.
Yeah.
You're like, what does that mean? You actually think that has some kind of emotional meaning? It has zero meaning. Zero.
When you say selfish, does that mean you just focused on your career and that's it?
No, selfish in when I would drink.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
It affects everyone around. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So even if it didn't affect my kids, if they saw me come in from a night and I went right to bed.
Yeah.
Even the smell that may have, passed their room, that creates a distrust.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds fucking horrible, and I've talked to my kids about it, and I'm like, where did it affect you, and where didn't it affect you? And and they've told me, so I know they're obviously extremely resilient. But when there's anything there where you can't be 100% present, it affects your fucking children, dude.
Totally, man.
Period.
Yeah.
You can't be perfect.
Yeah, you can't. We're not perfect.
We're not perfect, but you can have your priorities straight. And I think sometimes my priorities were a little off.
Yeah.
And they're not now.
Yeah, and how long sober now? How many years?
8 plus, 8 and a half.
That's amazing, man.
Something like that.
I'm glad I met you when you were sober, too.
Me too. I thought you were sober, but you just had never...
I never tried anything.
You just were never into it.
No, I saw my brothers getting fucked up a lot. After my dad died, my mom was working like 2 or 3 jobs, and my brothers would babysit me. They'd be smoking weed, drinking in the house, having girls over. I'd be hiding in my room. I was so scared of it, man. Yeah. So then I'm into punk rock. I like the Sex Pistols. I can skate to them, but I don't know what anarchy is and bollocks and all that shit. So then I hear like Minor Threat, and then they have a song called Straight Edge, and they talk about you don't need that to fit in. I'm like, fuck.
And that had a massive impact.
Totally. At 13 years old, I'm like, fuck. I can skate to this shit. It's aggressive, and I don't want to do this shit. I'm scared, and I can still be cool. And it just from that day at 13, I was like, I'm never trying anything.
Isn't that amazing? Because it comes out of this idea that people were cool, painters were cool or musicians were cool if they were fucking up their life. If you look at Sid Vicious,
yes,
and that whole thing, and
I didn't fuck with that.
You didn't fuck with that, which I have massive respect for, because when we were kids, like we held that on such a pedestal,
he was your dude,
and we didn't know anything else existed. It was either like bourgeoisie or it was Sid Vicious. Like we had 2 choices, and we didn't realize there was Minor Threat, and we didn't listen to the song, we didn't listen to the lyrics, and whatever that is. And then it was later in life that I started to meet people that are like the influences that you had, where I was like, oh, wait, you don't have to do this. And life can be even better when you're not doing that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when I understood way, way later than you did.
Yeah, because I think you were probably more of like, not saying fuck your parents, but like anarchy and destruction and fuck the government, all this shit.
For sure.
And I was like, for me, that was punk rock. But then hardcore was this other thing where it's like, okay, we're going to fix shit. We're going to make a difference. We're going to do animal rights. We're going to do human rights. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted the positive aspect of hardcore, and that really connected with me because I was a sensitive soul even back then. Yeah. I love my mom. I didn't want to say fuck my mom because she was raising us. But then the straight edge thing, and that's just my whole life. And now my son is like the only straight edge out of his whole crew. He's the only straight edge kid that hangs out with his friends. Really? That's so beautiful. I mean, I don't tell him. Like, he's not vegan. He was raised on eating meat. It's his choice. Yeah. When he wants to drink or try something, it's his choice. But he knows how I lived my life. And it makes me so happy to see that he lives that way.
And that's the best thing that you can be is power of example.
That's our
all you
job
have
as a role model.
You know how many people talk about, like, you should behave this way. You should behave that way. You should behave that way. And then they don't.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to watch how you are.
Yeah.
Hypocrites.
But I never preached anything to my son. This is how I live. I never said, you're going to be straight edge. You have to be like me. You should get tattoos. I never said shit.
And what's cool, like, you're a vegan. You've been vegan. If I look at your neck, you've been a vegan 1988.
Stopped eating meat in 1988 because of hardcore.
Cool. No, I know.
Of punk rock.
And that's like the most punk rock thing ever. Cause a guy to be vegan in 1988 is pretty fucking punk rock.
Dry ass falafels, fucking beans and rice. There was no fake. There was a tofu dog came out.
No, it's
brutal.
And not that it's a positive, but the fact that Moon is not. You guys are together. Yeah. You have one of the best relationships I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And then Max gets to look at you guys and he goes, oh, I have a choice. She's doing this in the way that she's doing it. Yeah. He's doing that in the way that he's doing it. And yet they get along. That's that differentiation that I was talking about before. Yeah. Not everybody's the same.
Opposites attract. I feel like that's my wife.
That's it.
We're into totally different types of music and fucking... She's in the Bauhaus and all this crazy shit, this rockabilly shit she brought me to. I was like, Jesus, the Damned. No disrespect to the listeners, but just certain things that I wasn't into. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then my son finds death metal and like, I like this band Slayer. I'm like, really? I heard of them before. Like, he brings like death metal stuff home that I was.
Yeah, but you know how you incorporated in Instagram when I would watch those videos that I'm talking about.
True.
You'd be playing death metal and you're sitting there rolling your eyes, but then you're taking the cards of the lyrics on it and all that kind of shit. It was great. You incorporated it into your life and you made it a familial thing.
Yeah.
That was bitching, man.
Thank you. He turns me on to like a lot of that stuff.
It's great.
Like he turns me on to different things over my mind.
You care. You give a shit. And I always have loved how much you give a shit. You know?
Thank you. I know you. I think I saw you say something, but your forward to my book was beautiful. I know you think it's weird. I think it was beautiful.
I don't think it. Why did I think it was?
I think you
weird?
wrote that somewhere. I saw somewhere like you.
Maybe I was embarrassed because I just like opened up to.
It was beautiful, man. It made me cry reading it. Reading it in front. I was in the car with my two boys. I started reading this shit. I was welling up. It was just so beautiful, and nice because I've never just the way you see me as your friend and how you see me as a person. It was really nice, and I appreciate that.
I'm glad you liked it.
It was just a kid's book, so it was like fuck. It was fucking. Really
it was real, and that's the thing that I think is the focus more and more and more. Is I have less interest in dealing with bullshit and things that I don't find heart driven and real and base.
Yeah, I feel like as you get older too, it's not the quantity of friends, it's the quality. You don't need a lot of them. You know what I mean? Just real ones you can count. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
And also, when you're in your 50s and you're having kids, that brings up a whole other thing too. You're like, I don't have fucking time.
Yeah.
I don't have time. I just dealt with this kid throwing up, and I just dealt with this kid who just shit on the floor.
It's pretty crazy. Your kids in your 50s.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah, but it's great, man.
Do you want any more?
You know, we've talked about it, and I don't. You know, you never know what's going to happen. But right now, we're tapped. We're tapped.
I can see that
because both our kids, like all four of the kids, have major personalities.
Okay.
So it's like having 9 or 10 or 11 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's all good. I mean, if they were like super quiet and just kind of like you didn't really even know that they were there, that would be one thing. But they're not. Yeah. My kids are not quiet in any sense of the word. None of them.
So yeah, I think you have a good amount of kids. I think you're.
I don't know. We'll see, man. Like 4 kids. I'm very happy with 4 kids right now. But I'm not gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I don't know what's going to happen.
It's so nice to have you back in California. I know you're born and raised there, but you were traveling all around, staying in different places. I was like, is this guy really going to leave here? I'm like, but I'm glad. I know you love it so much.
I try, out of respect for my wife and the kids being close to their cousins and her being close to her family, we made an emotional move.
Yeah.
To Atlanta. Which
is dope. I like Atlanta.
Dude, it's a great place to work. I like visiting there. It's awesome, but it's not. I'm etched in California.
Yeah.
I'm etched in California. It's in my DNA. It goes 5-6 generations back.
Yeah.
And my wife loves California. I love being close to the sea, riding my motorcycle. I don't get to do a lot of stuff that's just for me, but I get together with a few dudes and we ride our choppers up the coast and just be, I'm like, this is a joke.
Yeah.
This is a joke. People outside of California perceive California as being Southern California.
Yeah.
Or perceive it as being LA. And you got 1,200 miles of coastline. You got Paso Robles, Templeton, where I'm from. You go further than that. You have desert, you have ocean, you have mountains, you have
snowboarding, surfing, everything, dude. Yeah,
everything.
And I think you definitely inspired Max because you said you used to always go surfing before school when you were younger.
Always.
Yeah.
No, when I was in Santa Barbara, when that time with Jason Sears. We would literally wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get on our bikes, holding onto our surf. We'd coast all the way down because we lived up on a hill. We'd coast all the way down to the beach. It didn't matter if there were waves or not. We'd always paddle out and then end up at school at whenever it started, 9 o'clock.
That's so amazing. That's what Max started doing too, like super early or doing like doubles per day. Yeah. Right? What happened?
Yesterday.
Surfing, yeah. You have anything you want to say to Josh? Keep going?
Afterwards. I'll wait.
Do you have any like inspirations, like musical inspirations, or you have anything that you listen to, or it could be a writer, like a main inspiration for your life? Or does that always change?
It changes, but there's like the requisite, writers that you read when you start to think that you want to be a writer, you want to write in a certain way.
Yeah.
Kerouac, and I mentioned it recently on Colbert, how I took a class with Allen Ginsberg, and like all those people were on such a pedestal, Gregory Corso, and then I'd read Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and Turgenev and Pushkin and all these like just books, man. I just tried to inhale as much as I possibly could. But now, like E.E. Cummings was always a big thing because my buddy Anthony Zerbe had a 45-minute night of E.E. Cummings speaking E.E. Cummings, which totally blew my mind.
Wow.
So different prose writers, different poets, different, I get turned on to different writers now. I still read a lot of Cummings. I still read a lot of Dylan Thomas. early Dylan Thomas. I read a lot of Sam Shepard. I go back to that.
Yeah.
But, studying, like, even with Outer Range, I was really into the theater of cruelty when I was younger, and reading about Antonin Artaud. And I don't know, man, it's just little things that remind me, and they get my goat, and they just get me thinking again on a creative plane,
Yeah.
But I read a lot right now. I still
awesome.
do. It's like I can go take a motorcycle ride, or I can go read the rest of my book, and I usually will read the rest of my book. But a lot of writers. And then music, I'm all over the place, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this time that I remember. There's a fireman friend of mine that lives in Tucson, Arizona, and there was a time that he and I would walk in and talk about a tough guy. Like, he was the Marlboro Man. Okay. He is the Marlboro Man. But we would listen to Pavarotti arias.
Wow.
And just fucking sit in the car and cry together.
Wow.
I mean, it was just a
Super emo.
thing.
I love
Super emo. Jose Carreras and Pavarotti. And then now I'll listen to, violin. Like, I'm going through a violin thing right now, and I'll listen to, like, Four Seasons, a violin concerto of Four Seasons, or I'll listen to Minor Threat, or I'll listen to, Black Flag. The other day I turned on with my daughter, and she was like, Let It Go. I want to listen to Let It Go. Turn on Let It Go. I'm like, this is Black Flag, though. So I'm all over the place,
about hip-hop?
man. No.
Wow.
No.
You never got into hip hop.
I never got into hip hop. And I remember there was a point in punk where people started listening to, like, Beastie Boys and stuff like that.
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
NWA, yeah.
And Public Enemy I got into later. I got into when my kids were, like, when we lived in Prescott, Arizona, so my kids were like 5 and 9, 5 and 10. And I got into that, but I never fully got into hip hop. Huh. And I'll like force myself. You know how, like, on Apple Music or something, you can hit a genre. Like, I'll do it just because I need this education.
Yeah.
But I've never gotten fully into it.
I mean, the American Gangster soundtrack by Jay-Z is fucking
amazing.
Incredible, dude.
It's amazing.
That is incredible.
And I wish I knew more about it, and I wish But
it wasn't your thing.
It just wasn't my thing. I don't know why. And now I've reached this point. It's funny that you're asking this, because I just had this moment in the last couple of days. It was like, I don't know what to listen to right now. Like, I'm listening to the same shit
over and over again.
Yeah, or I'm turning on Black Sabbath, or I'm turning on classic. Amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm turning on the same because I don't know what to listen to. So I have a feeling I'm hitting a point where something new is going to come in, and I don't know what that thing is.
Yeah, my son listens to classical in the car when he drives, and it's so relaxing for him.
It's awesome.
I get in the car, I'm like, what? And, like, he knows who they are. And
yeah, it's weird because my dad would play classical when I was a kid, and it would just enrage me.
Really?
And I would play punk, and it would enrage him. And we were next to each other. Our rooms were next to each other, and he would come in and be like, "Turn that shit off."
He hated that shit, right?
Yeah, but now I love classical, and I don't know if it came out of that or what. I've always loved classical.
But yeah, did you ever
classical to me is some of the best punk there is.
Huh.
Like, if you think of Beethoven, he was a fucking badass.
Yeah, he was, actually, yeah.
Badass.
Did you get to see Black Flag or any of those bands back then, or?
I did. I got to see Black Flag. I got to see Dead Kennedys. I got to see Circle Jerks. I got to see TSOL. I got to see...
Nice.
Who else? A bunch of people. When I go down to Godzilla's from Santa Barbara, I'd get to see a bunch of bands down there. Never went to CBGB's.
Wow.
Ever.
Dang.
Yeah.
Missed it. Yeah, Circle Jerks in 7 Seconds are on tour now. I'm going to see them at the Palladium.
I know, man, because when we were up at the ranch, San Luis Obispo is the main town.
They played their show, right?
And they played their show up in San Luis Obispo. And I remember I drove by and I looked up on the marquee at the Fairmont Theater, and it said Circle Jerks. And I was like, no way.
Yeah. I'm going to see them play in a couple weeks.
You are?
Yeah, man, it's going to be
cool.
beautiful.
That's great.
And then what about tattoos for you? You only have a couple.
You know, I had a lot of tattoos.
Okay.
And I had them all taken off.
Laser ink
about
sucks.
20.
Brutal.
It's brutal. And I don't know if it's as brutal now as it was then, but man, it hurt.
Might have been worse back then, yeah.
And it would bleed and it would boil.
Bubble
and it
up
would,
and stuff.
Yeah, it would bubble up and all that. My kids would, like, I'd rub up against my kids and there'd be like pus on their shirt and they'd be like,
Jesus.
no. But I remember somebody said, like, why did you get your tattoos taken off? And I said, because I didn't feel like I needed them anymore, because they were more like on you. You're kind of you're like an art canvas.
Yeah, I'm definitely a coloring book.
You know what I mean? But with me, it was more like intimidating and all that. They were like old school tattoos, and they weren't
With dragons
very
and shit?
No, they were just like panther and like a panther head and a Harley Davidson on my back, and then
Wow.
and then I had like Jesus with his hand bleeding, and I had a bunch of shit.
Black and gray mostly, right?
Yeah, all, and then a couple of green eyes, like they like do.
Who
it.
did them? Do you remember?
Freddie Negretti
Woo!
was one.
Legend.
Yeah, he did the last tattoo that I got, probably the biggest tattoo that I got. Who else did it? Freddie Negretti was one, and then just people like Sunset Tattoo and shit like that. It's when we
so
were
it wasn't for
riding
acting. You
motorcycles.
took them off.
No, it wasn't for acting. And then I got one recently by Dr. Wu.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a drawing of my sons.
Yeah.
And it was a drawing that I've always loved of my boys. And I kept thinking, like, maybe 3-4 years, like, God, I really want to get this tattoo, but I don't want to get a tattoo. And then I was thinking about where I wanted to put it, like something that you deal with literally every day.
Dude.
And I was like, should I put it on my forearm, and should I have it just be out there? And then we put it on the inside of my bicep.
How'd it feel?
Fine.
Yeah.
They don't go as deep as they used to. Like now they go, because they realize if they go deep, it will spread sooner.
Yeah, it spreads
That's what he
out.
told me.
Yeah.
So it's more cosmetic now. It's more on the surface.
And it's better inks. It's
Better
plant-based.
inks
It's all kinds of stuff.
And the fine art that's done now. And like, I've always been into the fine art of tattooing. Always. Yeah. It's always been interesting to me. But I don't know. I didn't want it, but I have one now, man. And I don't know if I'm going to get more. I mean, to me, when I picture myself in the future, so I'm 54 now.
Yeah, well, how much? Yeah,
if I'm 64, I could see myself totally sleeved.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen? I don't know.
There's a lot of actors.
It doesn't matter to me.
There's a lot of actors. Like I saw, like Johnny Depp got his hands. Nicolas Cage, his whole back is done. There's dudes that are like totally covered.
But I could also see myself getting covered and then getting all those taken off. Because I'm a masochist.
Would you, okay, here's a serious question. Would you tattoo me?
You asked me that.
That's why I asked, yeah.
What, but why? I'm not an artist.
It doesn't matter. I've had a lot of my friends tattoo me. Steve Caballero tattoo me. Christian Hosoi. Never tattooed anybody. Check this out. So if I set up my boy Hosoi, see that? It's incredible.
What is it?
It says Hosoi in the writing. Stop.
I just write Brolin
I would make
on your
it.
back.
I would make it so easy for you. Have the gun set up. My dude would be there. Dan Smith. Shout out to Dan Smith. Yeah. And you should walk you. Just maybe like a never say die on me or something. Yeah. It's hard as fuck. You do it.
I could do it. Yeah.
It'd be first and only tattoo.
Yeah.
One of my friends had Sade tattoo him. The only tattoo she's ever done. He tattooed her bass player. In exchange, he wanted her, and she tatted him up her name. It's amazing, dude.
Okay.
You like Sade?
If you want, yeah.
She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Do you listen to new stuff? You like this? Like
Wait,
Adele?
Sade. Who did she do? She did a song with somebody that was really famous.
She did a lot of songs.
I know, but I'm just thinking of one in particular.
You think of Sinead O'Connor instead?
Nope.
Do you like Adele?
I love Adele. You know, the first time I did SNL was with Adele.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and nobody knew who Adele was.
One of her first albums or something.
It was her first album.
Wow.
And I remember I was asking Lauren, can we have Eddie Vedder? Because I was close with Eddie at the time and Chris Cornell. And I was like, can we have Eddie Vedder or Chris Cornell? Which just made more sense to me if I was going to do SNL. It's my guys. And
you can pick
he was
them?
like, no. That's what he told me. He was like, no, we don't let guests pick their musical guest.
That's changed
and
now.
So he said it's going to be Adele, and I was like, who is that? And then I remember rehearsing and hearing her sing and following her voice until I saw her on stage when she was rehearsing, and fucking blown away at her voice. She still blows me away.
She's incredible,
so I'll play her sometimes for the kids, and the kids will like, I want to listen to Let It Go, and then I'll turn on Adele, and then they all calm.
Yeah.
There's just something about her voice that resonates in a massive, very emotional way.
Her voice is totally soothing.
Yeah.
Is there any characters you played that come close to actually who you are in real life?
Everyone?
Everyone. There's probably part of you in everyone, right?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
But I more than any, no. I don't know, man. I just, out of range?
Okay.
No. Maybe.
But
I don't know. I don't think of it in those terms.
Okay.
Like, what's me? I mean, I'm a weird dude.
Yeah.
I like to constantly mix things up. I like to constantly challenge my mind in a lot of different ways. So when you say like, what's your favorite music or what do you like? It's like, I mix it up constantly.
Yeah.
What kind of movies are you watching? I mix it up constantly. I'm constantly mixing stuff up because I have that thing that you and I talked about before. which is like, man, I want to fit as much in before I'm gone as I can.
Yeah.
And I'm not frenetic about it. I want to take in each thing completely, and then I want to move on to the next. I love contrasting things.
Yeah.
I used to love being in the desert and playing opera.
Yeah.
I love contrasting things. I love finding that thing that makes me cry.
Yeah.
I want to find that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so if you had to stop acting today, do you feel like you had more, not more to do or more to prove or more to accomplish? Are you happy where you are at this moment with everything you've done?
I'm very happy with where I'm at this moment, but I'm not one of those people that said I can't do anything else, that's why I'm acting. I feel like I could cultivate another skill and do whatever I chose to do, whatever that is. But if I didn't have acting in my life, would there be a big hole? No.
Yeah.
I just don't. I've never felt that. I've never felt that. I remember when I stopped doing TV 20 years ago, and I just didn't like the vibe. It was so frenetic, and it was so like, just get it done, get it done, get it done. There was no thoughtfulness in it, at least what I was doing. And I remember I said to myself, I would rather not act than do this, and that created a kind of hole that was filled by something else later. But after I made that decision, I never looked back. So you say, like, what do you regret? The only thing I ever regretted, other than selfish behavior, was when I sold our ranch, and I bought the same ranch back 5 years later.
You bought the same one back. Wow.
So that was the only real regret I ever had. I sold that ranch, and I always longed for that ranch. And then I ended up buying it back once I made some money 5 years later.
To buy it back, yeah, man.
It does, and it's always there, and it will always be there, and we'll never get rid of it again. I mean, maybe my kids will, but I won't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck, Josh. I think I covered all my notes. Looking at my notes on the wall right here. So many fucking notes.
Oh, look at that. So Goonies, 1985. You played Brand. What was that like?
No, I don't ask that silly shit.
No, you got a lot of cool shit.
What has this pandemic taught you? Anything about yourself? Like the lockdown, the world stopping, everything frozen?
A ton, man, because I mean, look, I know a lot of people suffered through this pandemic. A lot of people died. And all the unfortunates that people experienced during this pandemic. But I think in lockdown, we were, at least in my experience, we were confronted with ourselves.
Totally.
And some people went totally insane. Yes. And some people, for me, it was amazing because it just kind of there was an inevitability of reprioritizing for me.
Yeah.
And what means something to me and what doesn't. And that just got way more specific, so like even now, like I don't see friends as much as I normally did because I enjoy my kids thoroughly. Yeah. And I think through the pandemic and them being born through the pandemic, I think that became even more so. My relationship with my older kids even, and traveling and going to see them and staying in contact with them. So there's things like that, of reprioritizing the things that are meaningful to me and not and being okay with just not dealing with bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it made me like just focus on, and also not stressing about things I had no control of, like focus on the now, live in the now, get more creative, focus on being home with my family, because this is the longest I've been home in 26 years. Yeah. Because I've been touring every year for that long. Yeah. And even my wife, shout out to my wife and your wife as well, because most of our stuff we do, we're leaving, we're coming back, and my wife tells me that's probably why I was still married, because I would leave and come back and you get to miss each other, and we didn't have that. And now she can't wait to get me out of the house. But like, shout out to the wives who held it down, who weren't used to their husbands being there,
Seriously, man, when you're around somebody that often, all the time, I mean, it can drive you crazy. All the little idiosyncrasies and
small things,
and and you can't get away from it. There's nowhere to go. You can't go outside without putting a mask on or going into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you feel it's the only place you can be naked, and yet that kind of nakedness is driving you crazy sometimes. But there's it's like we were just talking about it the other day. Marriage is like, some people are married 7 times. I've been married 3 times. That thing of like, I think the pandemic also taught me how to ebb and flow with whatever's happening, and I know I'm not getting married again for sure.
Yeah.
And I go, look, man, it's okay if you go through these moments, especially having kids, when you're used to dealing with each other on a very personal level, and now everything's filtered through the children. And sometimes you just go, fuck, man, I just want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I just want to have a normal conversation.
Yeah.
But it's not going to always be like this. They're going to get older. They're going to be going to school. They're going to have their own voices and all this kind of stuff. And all that stuff will come back in the way that it comes back. It's going to be different, but it's going to come back.
Yeah.
So it's okay to process and feel certain things and be somewhat reactive and go through the long haul with somebody. The idea of that is very, very attractive to me right now.
I love that. Outer Range is out every Friday on Prime Video, and it's incredible. And there will be a second season. Can't say it right now. Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, the reaction's been amazing. The promotion, everything about it. It's
hit a nerve in people, and it's been really nice because it allows people. It's very interactive. People have been asking a lot of questions. They want to know. They want answers to a lot of questions, and I don't think you could hope for more with a show.
And then, are there any movies that you've done that you don't like? Not like you wish, because I made a record I don't like. I'm not embarrassed about it. It's out there. People love it. But back then, we were sellouts. They hated it. It was too poppy. It was too overproduced.
Yeah.
And I have to live with that part of my life. It's part of
there's movies I've done that I don't like. There's movies that I've done that I had higher hopes for.
Yeah.
There's movies that I've done that I wish would have turned out better, or the directors would have been better, or the studios didn't get a hold of it and make it actually worse than it already was. But that's the dice that you roll. You never know. You don't know who's involved. I mean, like right now with Outer Range, and not that I keep trying to bring it back to Outer Range, but with Amazon is much more used to a kind of a linear storytelling and a safer storytelling. If you look at the series that they've done, this was a huge swing for them.
Okay.
And they got behind it 1,000%. And it was a very, very tough process to get where we are. And then they put a bunch into marketing. So I have massive respect for them because they didn't disappear when things got tough.
Yeah.
They actually leaned into it. And nobody could have perceived how it was going to be taken, this series.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's hit like it has as much to do with them as it does with us, because they stood behind it. I've seen a lot of studios give up on stories, and then the story is never seen and the movie's never seen, even though it might be a good movie, because the studio didn't believe in it anymore. No Country was one of those, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. They were focused on There Will Be Blood, There Will Be Blood, and Sean's movie, Into the Wild. And this was kind of like pushed to the side. And then somebody else came in and said, can we take over domestic distribution for this? And then put it on their forefront. And it ended up winning Best Picture.
Wow, dude.
So you don't know.
You never know.
As much as the movie matters, you also have to have somebody who's cheerleading it in a major way.
And believes in it, is behind it, keeps pushing it.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love Outer Range. I'm super psyched to see what happens next.
Cool.
And how many episodes are they in this first season?
We have new episodes 5 and 6 coming up April 29th, and then the last 7 and 8 is coming up a week after that on Friday.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could binge it, but I'm kind of happy I can't. And it gives me something to look forward to.
I know, exactly. It's fun to look forward to something.
And will there be a Deadpool 3?
I don't know.
Okay. There'll be more Avengers probably. We don't know about that either.
Don't know.
I think we covered everything, man. I really appreciate you being there. This is fucking awesome.
I love you, brother.
I was nervous about it, but I knew once we sat down, it'd be wonderful. I appreciate you. I'm happy we met, and you're part of my life, and everything you've done in your life is inspiring to me still. You know, everything you do and your hustle and your family and all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel the same about you.
So, yeah, man, I think that's it, guys. Let me see what else. I'm looking at the list right here.
We can do it again if we want.
Yeah, we'll do, a couple of years. We'll come back to this part 2. All right, bro. Well, yeah, thank you for being here, Josh.
Thanks for having
people
me,
can
brother.
find everyone on the Grizam, all that shit. And that's it. We're going to sign off.
That's it. That's
Max, you have nothing, Max? Max, you
Max.
Max. Is Max in the house?
I don't even know.
Did he leave the
house?
house?
He just left.
Yo, Max.
The fact that we were avoiding him.
Come here, Max.
Nah.
We have a question for you. He loves you.
I love that dude.
Oh, no. Flag. I didn't mention Flag Day. I love that movie, too, dude.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. Sean Penn's daughter was in that. That was sick.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a really great
job
movie.
with that.
Come here, Max.
He's not coming, dude.
He doesn't want to be in the podcast?
No. When we turn this off, he'll show up.
Max! Get off the phone. Come here. Get in here, bruh. Oh, shit. The fuck.
Jesus.
Max, you have any questions for Josh? Because
Right now?
yeah.
No. All my
sure?
questions are for friends. Like friendship. It's not like...
Friendship. This is not friendship.
Wow.
What we're doing.
This is friendship, too. We're just
Look at
talking about
this.
life.
He just ripped the shit out of your notes.
Yeah, we're just talking
Came in
about
here,
life. But you
created
have nothing you
total
want to ask
chaos.
him here? Bye. Take
Are
care.
you out? Bye.
Have a
See
good
you.
one. Nothing, Max. You good?
I'll see you afterwards.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we love
I
you,
just
Josh.
was gonna. I'm gonna walk my dude.
Thank you, Stella. It's not farting on Josh.
Twice.
Bye.
Hello.
Good morning.
Where is Josh? I'm looking for Mr. Josh.
Yeah, this is.
What's up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do any spoilers, but episode 5 and 6 of Outer Range. Yo, I'm only gonna say 2 things. Autumn is fucking suspect, and Cowboy Mosh Pit was lit. Oh my god.
How great was that?
Dude.
How great was that? Oh, I forgot about that, man.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like it. Everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
I'm gonna send you something right now. Wait,
Dude,
I
everything's
can pull this
so
up.
randomly insane on this fucking show.
I know, because it's randomly insane anyway, everywhere. So look, this is wait. Let me. Oh fuck, it's not doing it. So I'm wearing a shirt right now.
Yeah.
That I told you we had a lot of problems on the show.
Yeah.
Oh God, I almost got it. Wait, let me just get it. Wait.
It's all good.
We had a lot of problems on the show, and okay, I'm just going to send you this, and I'm going to tell you what it is. So I would make a shirt every 2 episodes at the end of every 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And it was usually like a fucking dig at somebody,
Mm.
right? So, but it was always funny.
I'm looking at it now.
The shirt that you're seeing right now, on the top it says "I got a hole for you."
And then there's some sort of symbol on the ball sack.
The ball sack is the symbol of the 2 families, the Abbots.
Oh yeah, that's
the
right.
Tillersons.
Ooh.
And look at the butthole; it's like gnarly. I got a hole for you.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna send you one of these shirts.
Yeah, that'd be so sick. So real quick, I know you're busy. I appreciate you talking to me early in the morning. We covered a lot of things. I love it. It was a beautiful conversation. I appreciate it. We definitely forgot to mention how handsome we were, but that's just a given. But one of my key things, my last 2 things, I forgot to ask you because my son came and cock-blocked the whole fucking podcast. Is any kind of daily rituals that you have? I know that you work out. I know that you drink coffee. I know that you wake up early. I know you take ice baths and like these kind of steel horse, kind of like troughs, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Is there like a certain regiment you have in your daily life?
No, it changes constantly, and that's the problem.
Mm.
It's just, but that's the way I like it. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I always wish that. I mean, my wife tells me all the time that she's like, the kids need more of a system. That's why, and they'll sleep better, they'll this better. But I agree. But I've always known us to be kind of really nomadic and not unfocused. It's always focused, but it goes in kind of fits and spurts. So like Laird Hamilton was a close friend, and we were working out in his pool, and we were doing those workouts before Wesleyan was born, and it was basically every day for like 2.5 years.
Damn.
And it was great. It was an amazing experience, and you're underwater and you're doing 3 to 4 minute breath holds while you're working out underwater, and then you're going in and you're doing 200-degree saunas for an hour to half hour to an hour, and then you're going into an ice bath, and then you're going into a different sauna that we put an assault bike in, so you're actually doing an assault bike in the sauna and like burning the inside of your thighs.
Jesus.
And then I started wearing, you know what I mean? So you just, but all kind of in the same vein as being like crazy, creative, experimental.
Yeah.
It's like, now what can you do with your body? How can you test your body in this way? How can you build your body in this way? So right now I'm in my writer's hut and I'm looking out my door window and I'm looking at the sauna that we just got. So we just got an updated sauna.
Nice.
We have 2 horse troughs and we have an industrial ice machine next to it. And I'll start that up probably when I come back from up north.
Yeah.
And I'll start doing the saunas again. I'll start doing the workouts again. I'll start slow just because I'm pretty out of shape after the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll start ramping it up. But I don't know what, I think I'll probably box a lot more this time. I've been really getting back into boxing.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Frank Grillo, who
Woo-hoo,
you know.
Shout out to Frank Grillo and Fortune Boxing. Yeah.
Fortune Boxing. And I reached out to him recently because I always feel like I've never done this before. It's like
all
I
brand
always
new.
I always like wipe the slate clean, even though I have people calling me all the time saying, hey, what do I do about this? Or how do I look this way? Or what diet do I do that's best? But I always do the same thing. I would call Laird or I'll call Frank and I'll go, like, what are you doing right now? I don't know if you've seen Frank on Instagram, but the dude is shredded.
Fucking ripped, dude.
Shredded.
I know, man.
And he's not, I mean, he's my age. He's 50. I'm 54. He's 50. He looks fucking amazing.
I know. He goes so hard. Like, I see him training.
He goes so hard.
On tour, like at the hotels. Just anywhere he can get it in, he gets it in. It's super inspiring, man.
That's what I love about him, man. He's like, for real, a tough guy.
Yes.
But he's one of the sweetest dudes I know. But he's a tough dude.
100%. I feel like people that are tough don't have to act tough. It's just they just handle their business.
That's exactly my point.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like all the stuff that we were talking about this manual of what tough looks like. And it's like, fuck that, man. Burn that manual.
100%. And then I pretty much got the answer for this one. Are you an optimist or pessimist? Well, for me, I feel like you do have the PMA because Napoleon Hill, the guy who created the PMA concept, it's whatever the mind can't conceive and believe it can't achieve. And I feel like you've believed in yourself throughout your whole life. That's the vibe I got from just talking to you. Like, you never give up on yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when other people did.
Yeah, I have moments.
Yeah.
I have moments of uncertainty.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I think that's the whole point. I mean, I it's hard for me to assess whether I'm a pessimist or an optimist, but gauging from how you treat me, gauging from how my kids treat me, gauging from how my friends react to me, I think I would be a major optimist. But I also know that I can come across pessimistically when I'm like working. Like when we did Outer Range, I was like, what the fuck is the problem? Like, why is everybody creating a chaos that doesn't need to exist? We're creating more problems than we need to have, and it's because of ego, or it's because of insecurity, or it's because of all that shit. So I think I'm an extreme optimist, but sometimes I deal with it in a pessimistic way. I'm like, we have to lacerate the ego. This, you know, I don't like to be in a community that's full of that. I like for it to be communal and open and trusting and loyal. Yeah. And then everybody can rely on each other, not in like a cultish way. Yeah. But like in a familial way. Yeah. You know? But yeah, I don't want anybody drinking my Kool-Aid or anything.
No, I think, but also I think that's your passion coming through, passion for your work, passion for everything you're doing. It maybe it comes off that way. But that's because you really care about what you're doing, you know what I mean? And you're in that moment.
Well, I mean, one chance, one life, man. You put it better than anybody. Like literally, there's nobody that's put how I perceive, or at least the place that I've come to in my life right now better than you have. One chance, one life. That's it. Like if there's something after this, then great. But we don't know for sure. Yeah. There's nothing that's guaranteed. So we don't know, you know, on the average, it's going to be 70, 80 years, but it could be tomorrow.
So true.
So the best deal is we have this one day that we can put everything into, that we can bring a smile to somebody's face, that we can accept somebody's love instead of saying, oh, that's really hard for me. And I know it's hard for some people.
Yeah, we're not perfect, man.
It's the effort.
Totally.
It's the effort.
Every day.
You can tell when people put effort in. It's like a lot of people who talk about what they want to do, but they never do it. And I'm like, all you got to do is, well, I don't think I'm ready. Well, you don't know if you're ready if you don't do it.
100%.
If you do it, the universe will tell you you're not ready.
Yeah.
But you won't know until you actually put your foot forward and find out whether you're ready or not.
Exactly.
It's not a head thing, it's an action thing.
I agree.
So I get scared all the time. We talk about directing and I get scared. We talk about going and producing this play that I wrote and I get scared. So there's a lot of stuff that still scares me. But I mean, fuck, man, if you didn't get scared, if you didn't have a feeling, if you didn't have an opposed feeling, how would you know that it's worth something?
I agree. I feel like that just in this moment talking to you on my podcast, that you were one of the people who believed in me from the jump to even start when I was so nervous. I didn't really know what it entailed. I just started with my mom and I just kept flowing from that. It's been very therapeutic and I'm so happy I started this thing. It's brought me closer to people. I've come to know people better that I thought I actually knew, and just having these conversations. You know what I mean? Like it's been. And
we didn't even know each other. You just put out a vibe.
Yeah.
That I was like, I responded to. I was like, that motherfucker's cool as shit. Who is that dude? And then we start to get to know each other. And you and I are, we have a lot of similarities, but we're also super different.
Totally.
And there's never been a moment that I haven't celebrated the fact that we met. Like, I don't know how the fuck we met. How did that happen?
It's such a random
I'm so stoked. It's such a random thing, but it's only enhanced this existence 100%. That I'm having, this experience that I'm having during this lifetime. It's 100%. Only deepened it for me.
Well, I not to be cheesy, and I know you probably already knew.
Oh, it's all cheesy, bro.
But I sent this to you the other day because I never really paid attention to the "Never Say Die" slogan from the movie, and then when I Googled it, I sent it to you, and it's used to encourage someone to continue something or remain hopeful. It's so PMA. It's fucking crazy. I know it's just a movie and a saying and something part of your life, but like I don't know.
Though.
It's pretty cool. Like just. For me,
but when you asked that, I was like picturing just drawing this horrible piece of abstract art. I was just like, I'm gonna fuck it up. And then you said, what about just saying this thing, And it's not like to other people, it would be a movie slogan. And to you and me, it has a deeper meaning. It actually means something.
I know it's so punk and it's fucking crazy. Yeah. So my question is, would you rather tattoo that on my taint or my throat?
I'm not going to touch your taint, bro. I'm not going to touch your taint. I will tattoo right next to your vegan marks.
Yes,
that makes
so
perfect
hard,
sense to me.
Dude,
I'll go hard next to your vegan marks.
I'm so fucking hyped. Another thing I'm so serious. I already told your wife. Another thing is also you gave me advice about getting a colonoscopy, and it's like the best thing ever done. Like you told her, like, yo, don't be a pussy. It's fucking easy. They put you under.
Yeah, just because it feels good. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I'm saying like you were one of the main
you
people.
You did it, right?
Yeah, bro. I have the cleanest fucking vegan colon ever. I'm so excited and proud of my ass, bro.
There were stokes. No polyps.
And and it's grown up shit. No pun intended. But I'm really happy I did that.
Good.
Also, I think you should start a podcast. Think you do? Think you have time
You know what's
to do
funny,
it?
man? Is I what?
Think you have time to do that?
I don't know. I mean, you and I were supposed to talk last night, and then I took a nap because I woke up so early in the morning, and then
you never take naps. I know.
I never take naps, but you mentioned it the other day.
Yes.
And I was dragging yesterday. I was really dragging yesterday. And then I was like, fuck, man, I need to get 15 minutes sleep. And I got an hour of sleep.
Wow.
And then I ended up going out to this thing where my wife's pictures were.
I saw it. Looked awesome.
Displayed. Yeah, it was cool. And I had a great time because I took that hour. I took that hour for myself just to take a nap.
And you felt good. You felt like recharged.
Dude, I felt amazing.
Yes.
What that hour did was incredible. And then, yeah, so
there's theories on that.
Talking about?
Well, there's theories on that, how important that is. This doctor.
Oh no, Laird talks about that all the time.
Yeah, and I had this guy, Dr. Andrew Huberman, on my podcast, and he broke down all that stuff, power naps, all that stuff, the ice baths.
Yeah, would you send that to me?
Yeah, well, he's a big fan. He follows you, actually. He's a big fan of you.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, man. Well, Josh, the conversation is incredible. Like I was going to told you yesterday, one of my good friends listens to every single episode. He was super emo crying when we were talking about our children. I just love that we finally made it happen, and I consider you a close friend, and I love how humble and real you are, and you come from the same place I come from. And like you said, yeah, we're not the same exact lives, but we're connected through however we got connected. But then the connection of music and skateboarding and punk rock and just everything.
PMA.
Yeah, exactly. And your journey is super inspiring to me. and all the texts and conversation we had and everything, man. It's meant a lot to me, and I'm stoked that we met, and you're part of my life, even in my 50s. You know what I mean?
Me too, man. I feel like I said when we got off before, and I think we should do this again because we are friends, and
Yeah.
I think that each time we do it,
We
it
get
will become
deeper and
less
deeper.
about it becomes less and less about telling like a cosmetic story to make people go, fuck, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
But at
yeah.
the same time, it just gets more kind of in tune with who we are.
Yeah.
Which I think we found yesterday.
100%.
I think we just slipped into this like really familial thing.
It's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
And then finally,
me too.
I always give people props because I have a lot of hair envy. You have a great hairline. I just want to give you a shout out to your hair. Your hair is on fucking point, man.
Dude, you have such obsession over hair. It's hilarious. Like I saw you yesterday. You look great. Your hair, you got your head
I'm gonna get these
tatted.
plugs, bro.
Your hair's coming in. You're like, oh, I gotta go get my hair cut because it's just driving me crazy. And I'm like, your hair looks great. It doesn't matter.
But your hair is, I don't know where the hairline came from, but your hair is fucking, you're chilling,
Yeah,
bro. There's no worries.
I'm honestly stoked because my dad and my grandfather literally had this head of hair in the day that my grandfather died. Like a full fucking gnarly, amazing, handsome head of hair. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Not saying that mine is, but his was.
Well, thank you. I'm
Anyway.
so psyched for people to hear this combo.
Safe travels today, dude.
Thank you, brother. And I appreciate your time always. And I'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
All right, brother. Bye.
Later.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.